Good evening, and welcome back to my channel Sleep Beneath History, my friend. Tonight, we will take a slow and peaceful journey into a world of high mountains, long rivers, quiet valleys, and ancient roads that stretch farther than the eye could see. Our story is about the Tang-Tibetan Wars, a long series of struggles between two of Asia's greatest empires. Yet this is not a tale of loud battles or hurried victories. Instead, it is a gentle walk through the lives of the people who lived during those remarkable centuries. Before we begin, if you enjoy these quiet history journeys, please consider liking this video, leaving a comment, and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps more people discover peaceful stories from the past. Now, settle into a comfortable place. Allow your breathing to become slow and steady. Let the sounds of the modern world gently drift away. Imagine that a cool evening breeze is blowing across distant mountains. The sky is painted with soft shades of blue and silver as countless stars slowly appear overhead. As the world grows quieter, let us travel back more than 1,300 years. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a vast land unlike anything you have ever seen. Snow-covered mountains rise toward the sky like silent giants. Deep valleys disappear into morning mist. Rivers sparkle as they rush through rocky cliffs before flowing into wide green plains far below. This is Asia during the 7th century. It is a world connected not by airplanes or highways, but by winding caravan roads. Traders guide long lines of camels across deserts. Horses climb narrow mountain paths. Boats drift along broad rivers carrying silk, tea, grain, paper, and precious metals. Every traveler moves slowly. Every journey takes weeks. Sometimes it takes months. The people who live here understand patience. Distance shapes every part of life. News arrives long after events have happened. Families wait for loved ones who may not return until another season. Many villages never see strangers. Others welcome travelers almost every day. Along these roads, many different languages can be heard. One merchant speaks Chinese, another speaks Tibetan, a third speaks Sogdian, while another comes from India and carries stories from temples far to the south. Although these people come from different lands, they often share the same fire during cold nights. They drink warm tea. They repair worn sandals. They tell stories beneath endless stars. Sometimes they exchange gifts. Sometimes they exchange ideas. Sometimes they simply enjoy the comfort of another human voice after weeks of lonely travel. Long before the Tang and Tibetan armies faced one another, these roads were already busy with peaceful life. Merchants carried silk that shimmered in sunlight. Craftsmen transported bronze mirrors polished until they reflected faces as clearly as still water. Bundles of paper were carefully wrapped to keep away moisture. Fine pottery rested inside padded baskets. Rolls of colorful cloth waited to become robes, blankets, or banners. Every object told a story. Every traveler carried memories. As you continue walking along these ancient roads, notice how different the landscape becomes every few days. One morning, you may wake beside rolling grasslands where horses graze quietly. A few days later, you enter forests filled with tall pine trees. Then the forests disappear, replaced by wide open plains. Soon afterward, enormous mountains stand before you, their snowy peaks glowing pink beneath the rising sun. Nature changes constantly. So do the people. Farmers working beside rivers live differently from shepherds guiding yaks across high plateaus. Fishermen understand flowing water. Mountain herders understand changing winds. Caravan guides understand distant horizons. Each group develops its own traditions. Each group learns from the land around them. Life is never easy, yet it follows gentle rhythms. Morning begins before sunrise. Animals are fed. Fires are lit. Fresh water is collected. Children help their parents with simple tasks. Older family members quietly prepare breakfast, while smoke rises through the cool morning air. No one rushes. There is always another day of work ahead. Imagine standing outside a small village as the first sunlight reaches the rooftops. The homes are simple. Some are built from wood, others from stone. Some walls are covered with smooth clay. Roofs are made from timber, straw, or packed earth depending on the region. Nearby, chickens scratch the ground looking for seeds. Dogs lazily stretch after sleeping beside the doorway. A grandmother smiles as she places warm bread onto a cloth. A child carries a wooden bucket toward the nearest stream. Someone begins grinding grain using heavy stones that have served the family for many years. Everything happens quietly. The sounds are soft. The world seems peaceful. Far away, however, two great powers are slowly growing stronger. Neither empire yet realizes how closely their futures will become connected. To the east lies the Tang Empire. Its cities are among the largest anywhere on Earth. Its scholars fill libraries with beautiful writing. Its artists paint elegant landscapes. Its engineers build roads, bridges, and canals that connect distant regions. Its officials carefully record taxes, harvests, and laws. Many people look toward the Tang capital with admiration. It seems almost endless in its wealth and learning. Far to the southwest, high above the clouds, another kingdom is changing just as quickly. On the Great Tibetan Plateau, strong leaders unite many different tribes. Villages that once lived separately begin working together. New roads appear. Messengers travel farther than ever before. Horsemen ride across open grasslands carrying news between distant settlements. The kingdom grows stronger each passing year. Its people know these mountains better than anyone else. They understand every valley, every pass, every river crossing. The plateau teaches resilience. Winters are long. The air is thin. The nights are cold. Only those who understand the land can truly thrive there. Imagine climbing higher into those mountains. Your breathing becomes slower. The wind feels cooler against your face. Prayer flags do not yet cover every mountain pass as they will in later centuries, but the people already hold deep respect for the natural world around them. The mountains are not simply barriers. They are homes. They are protectors. They are part of everyday life. Families gather inside warm houses built to withstand icy winds. Yak butter lamps flicker softly. Children listen, while grandparents tell stories passed down across many generations. Outside, stars fill the sky with astonishing brightness. Without city lights, the heavens appear almost close enough to touch. Many people believe the mountains are alive with unseen spirits. Others believe ancestors continue watching over the living. Different communities follow different traditions, yet nearly everyone feels a quiet respect for the land that provides food, shelter, and water. As night settles across both empires, life becomes wonderfully peaceful. In Tang villages, doors close gently. Oil lamps glow through paper windows. Neighbors finish evening conversations before returning home. Some families play simple board games. Others mend clothing. Many simply rest after long hours in the fields. On the Tibetan plateau, shepherds bring animals safely into their enclosures. Fires burn warmly inside sturdy homes. Wood crackles softly. A kettle hangs above glowing coals. Warm drinks are shared among family members, while cold winds whisper outside. The night belongs to quiet voices. The stars belong to everyone. Far away, somewhere along a lonely mountain road, a caravan also prepares to sleep. Camels kneel upon the ground. Horses drink from a nearby stream. Travelers unroll blankets beneath the open sky. One merchant carefully counts his goods. Another quietly writes notes about tomorrow's journey. A cook stirs a simple pot of soup, while gentle smoke rises into the cool evening air. No one knows exactly what tomorrow will bring. Perhaps another peaceful village. Perhaps another difficult mountain crossing. Perhaps news from distant kingdoms. Life continues one day at a time. One careful step after another. Yet beneath this calm surface, history is slowly preparing to turn. The Tang Empire continues expanding its influence across Eastern Asia. The young Tibetan Empire continues growing stronger upon the high plateau. Between them lie mountain passes, fertile valleys, important trade routes, and communities that both kingdoms consider valuable. Neither side seeks endless conflict from the beginning. Both desire safety. Both desire prosperity. Both wish to protect their borders and control important roads. Sometimes these goals can exist together peacefully. Sometimes they cannot. Over many years, small disagreements will slowly become larger ones. Messengers will ride farther. Diplomats will hold long conversations. Gifts will be exchanged. Promises will be made. Not every meeting will end in anger. Many will end with smiles and respectful bows. History is rarely as simple as constant war. Most days, ordinary people still wake before sunrise. They still plant crops. They still care for children. They still tell stories. They still hope for peaceful tomorrows. That quiet hope lives in every village. In every mountain home, in every busy market, in every lonely traveler resting beside the road. And perhaps that is the most important beginning to our story. Before armies marched, before banners fluttered above mountain passes, before famous generals earned their place in history, there were simply people living ordinary lives beneath the same wide sky. As the night grows quieter and the stars continue their slow journey across the heavens, let us gently leave these peaceful landscapes behind. In our next chapter, we will slowly walk toward one of the greatest cities in the world, where a remarkable dynasty is entering a golden age. There, we will discover how the mighty Tang Empire rose to become one of history's most powerful civilizations, setting the stage for everything that follows. For now, rest comfortably, and let the ancient roads fade softly into the night. The morning sun rises slowly over the eastern horizon. Its first gentle light touches quiet villages, winding rivers, peaceful rice fields, and distant mountain peaks. A soft mist still hangs above the water as birds begin welcoming another new day. Imagine you are walking along a wide road that becomes busier with every passing mile. Farmers guide wooden carts pulled by oxen. Horses carry officials dressed in neat robes. Merchants travel with wagons full of silk, paper, tea, pottery, and spices. Monks quietly continue their journeys from one temple to another, carrying little more than a walking staff and a small bundle of belongings. Everyone seems to be moving toward the same destination. Far ahead, rising from the broad plain, stands one of the greatest cities the ancient world had ever known. This is Chang'an, the capital of the Tang Empire. Imagine seeing its walls for the first time. They stretch farther than you can comfortably see. Massive gates stand open from early morning. Watchtowers rise above the walls like calm guardians watching over countless people entering and leaving every day. As you approach, the sounds slowly become clearer. Not loud, not overwhelming, simply full of life. You hear horses walking across packed earth. You hear merchants greeting old friends. You hear children laughing as they chase one another through busy streets. You hear craftsmen tapping wood, shaping metal, and polishing stone with patient hands. The city feels alive, yet it moves with an organized rhythm. Nothing appears rushed. Everything has its place. Chang'an is not only a capital. It is a meeting place for much of the known world. People arrive here from lands thousands of miles away. Some come from Korea, some from Japan. Others travel from Central Asia, India, Persia, and lands even farther west. Each traveler brings something unique. Perhaps fine wool, perhaps precious jewels, perhaps rare books, perhaps stories from distant kingdoms. In return, they discover a city unlike any they have ever seen. Imagine walking through one of its great avenues. The road is remarkably wide. Trees line the edges, providing welcome shade during warm afternoons. The streets are carefully planned, running in straight lines that make it easy to find different neighborhoods. Government offices stand beside beautiful gardens. Markets are arranged in orderly sections. Homes of wealthy officials stand behind quiet walls filled with flowering trees. Smaller houses belonging to craftsmen and workers fill nearby streets with everyday life. The city feels carefully designed. Nothing seems accidental. Every neighborhood has its own character. Some areas smell of fresh bread baking inside clay ovens. Others are filled with the scent of incense drifting from temples. In another district, the pleasant smell of tea fills the morning air. Nearby, a blacksmith patiently shapes glowing iron while sparks dance softly around his workshop. Imagine stepping into one of Chang'an's great markets. The market opens early. Before sunrise, workers have already arranged their goods with great care. Baskets overflow with apples, pears, peaches, and plums. Bundles of fresh vegetable sit beside sacks of rice and millet. Fish caught only hours earlier rest upon beds of cool leaves. Large jars hold fragrant sauces and oils. Tea merchants proudly display bricks of carefully prepared tea. Silk sellers gently unfold shimmering cloth that catches the morning light like flowing water. People do not shout. Instead, conversations are calm and respectful. Buyers examine each item carefully. Merchants explain where their goods came from. Prices are discussed politely. Sometimes a smile is worth almost as much as a handful of coins. Imagine watching a young apprentice learning from an experienced merchant. The older man patiently explains every detail. How to recognize good silk. How to measure cloth correctly. How to greet customers with respect. How honesty brings loyal customers back again and again. Knowledge is shared quietly. One generation teaches the next. The Tang Empire values learning. Not only inside schools, not only inside libraries, but also inside workshops, farms, markets, and family homes. Every skill takes time. Every craft requires patience. As you continue walking, you notice many people carrying books. Books during this time are precious. They are copied carefully by hand. Each page requires great attention. Each brushstroke must be steady. Paper itself is one of China's great achievements. It is light. It is practical. It allows knowledge to travel much farther than heavy bamboo strips used in earlier centuries. Imagine entering a peaceful library. Rows of scrolls fill wooden shelves. Scholars sit quietly beside low tables. Their brushes move slowly across smooth paper. The only sounds are gentle breathing and the soft scratching of brush against page. Some scholars study history. Others read poetry. Some learn mathematics. Others examine ancient philosophy. Many hope to become government officials one day. But first, they must pass difficult examinations. These examinations become one of the Tang dynasty's greatest ideas. Instead of choosing officials only because of their family, Many positions are offered to men who prove their knowledge through careful study. The examinations are not easy. Students spend years preparing. They memorize ancient writings. They practice beautiful handwriting. They learn how wise rulers should govern fairly. Imagine a young student sitting beneath a paper lantern late at night. Everyone else in the house has gone to sleep. Only the small flame beside him remains awake. He quietly reads another page, then another. His dream is not wealth. His dream is service. Perhaps one day he will help govern part of the empire. Perhaps he will solve disputes fairly. Perhaps he will help farmers after floods or droughts. Education is seen as a path toward responsibility. Parents encourage their children to learn. Teachers are respected. Books are treasured. Knowledge is considered one of the greatest gifts a person can possess. Outside the schools, life continues peacefully. Farmers rise before dawn. The rich soil surrounding many parts of the empire produces abundant harvests. Rice grows in carefully flooded fields. Wheat waves gently beneath the breeze farther north. Vegetable gardens surround villages. Fruit trees blossom each spring. Farm work follows the seasons. Planting, watering, weeding, harvesting, then preparing once more for another year. Every family understands this rhythm. Children help whenever they are able. Grandparents offer advice gathered from decades of experience. Neighbors often assist one another during busy harvest days. The land feeds everyone. In return, everyone respects the land. Imagine sitting beside a quiet river at sunset. Several fishermen slowly guide their narrow boats across calm water. Their movements are slow and practiced. One fisherman gently lowers a woven net. Another patiently waits with a simple fishing line. Nearby, children skip stones across the river while ducks glide peacefully between reeds. The evening feels endless. The river reflects the orange sky like polished glass. Farther downstream, water wheels slowly turn. Their steady movement helps lift water into irrigation channels feeding nearby fields. Simple inventions like these quietly improve everyday life. The Tang Empire is filled with clever ideas. Engineers build bridges strong enough to last generations. Roads connect distant cities. Canals allow heavy goods to travel by boat instead of difficult wagon journeys. Communication becomes easier. Trade becomes richer. Families become better connected. Travel still takes weeks, sometimes months. Yet compared with earlier centuries, journeys become safer and more reliable. Now imagine entering one of Chang'an's beautiful gardens. Tall willow trees lean gracefully over quiet ponds. Lotus flowers bloom across still water. Stone pathways wind between flowering bushes. Birds sing from hidden branches. Officials sometimes come here simply to think. Poets find inspiration beneath the trees. Artists quietly paint the changing seasons. Some write poems celebrating moonlight. Others describe distant mountains wrapped in clouds. The Tang dynasty becomes famous for its poetry. Simple moments become works of art. A falling leaf, a quiet river, a lonely traveler, a bright full moon. These ordinary sights remind people that beauty often lives within peaceful moments. Imagine meeting an elderly poet sitting beside a small bridge. He watches ripples moving gently across the pond. He smiles quietly before writing only a few lines. He knows that the shortest poem can sometimes carry the deepest meaning. His words will survive long after he is gone. Generations, yet unborn, may one day read them beneath another peaceful sky. Art is everywhere. Musicians play soft melodies using delicate instruments. Painters create graceful landscapes. Potters shape elegant bowls and cups. Carvers decorate wood with flowers, birds, and flowing clouds. Even ordinary household objects are often made with care and beauty. Daily life itself becomes a kind of quiet art. Religion also fills many corners of the empire. Temples welcome visitors seeking peace. The gentle scent of incense rises toward painted ceilings. Buddhist monks chant softly during morning prayers. Taoist priests quietly tend sacred places surrounded by ancient trees. Confucian teachings continue guiding families, teachers, and government officials. Many people respect more than one tradition. Rather than conflict, different beliefs often exist side by side. Imagine removing your shoes before entering a quiet temple. The stone floor feels cool beneath your feet. Sunlight shines through wooden windows. A bronze bell sounds gently somewhere in the distance. Its deep tone slowly fades into silence. A monk smiles warmly as he sweeps fallen leaves from the courtyard. He works slowly, without hurry. Every movement seems peaceful. Perhaps this quiet patience is one reason travelers remember the Tang Empire so fondly. It is not only wealthy. It is not only powerful. It is filled with people trying to build orderly, meaningful lives. Of course, no empire is perfect. There are difficult years. There are poor harvests. There are disagreements among officials. There are places where life is much harder than inside the great capital. Yet from afar, the Tang Empire shines like a bright lantern across Asia. Its cities grow. Its learning spreads. Its trade flourishes. Its influence reaches lands thousands of miles away. Many neighboring kingdoms admire its achievements. Some send students. Some send ambassadors. Some seek friendship. Others watch carefully, wondering whether such great power might one day reach their own borders. Far beyond the western mountains, another rising empire is watching as well. Its leaders hear stories of Chang'an. They hear of its wealth, its scholars, its soldiers, its roads, its endless markets, and they begin thinking about their own future. As the afternoon sunlight slowly fades into evening, long shadows stretch across the roads leading westward. Caravans prepare to leave the city. Officials finish their work. Families gather for the evening meal. Lamps begin glowing behind paper windows. The great capital gradually becomes quiet once more. The moon rises above Chang'an's rooftops. Its silver light shines upon peaceful streets, where only a few late travelers continue walking home. The mighty Tang Empire rests beneath the stars, unaware that beyond the towering mountains, another young civilization is rising with equal determination. As the night grows deeper and the air becomes wonderfully cool, let us gently leave the bright avenues of Chang'an behind. In our next chapter, we will climb onto the vast Tibetan plateau, where scattered clans are slowly becoming one united kingdom under remarkable leaders, laying the foundations of an empire that will soon stand beside the Tang as both neighbor and rival. The night slowly gives way to another peaceful morning. A pale light spreads across the eastern sky, touching the highest mountains before it reaches the valleys below. Snow upon distant peaks glows with soft shades of gold and pink. The air is cool and wonderfully clear. Every breath feels fresh. Imagine you are standing at the foot of the greatest mountain range on Earth. Before you rise the mighty Himalayas. Their peaks seem to disappear into the clouds. Their valleys hide quiet streams, rocky paths, and green meadows where wild flowers bloom during the short summer months. Let us begin a slow climb. The path is narrow, but there is no need to hurry. Every step brings a new view. As we climb higher, the air grows thinner. The forest slowly becomes smaller. Tall trees give way to shrubs, grasses, and open hillsides, where only the hardiest plants can survive. Far below, rivers sparkle like silver threads winding across the land. Above us, great birds circle silently upon the mountain winds. Everything feels peaceful. Everything feels ancient. After many days of careful travel, we finally reach the vast Tibetan plateau. It stretches farther than the eye can see. Rolling grasslands meet distant mountains in every direction. Wide skis seem almost endless. The land is open, quiet, and powerful. Many people today call this place the roof of the world. It is one of the highest inhabited regions anywhere on Earth. Living here is never easy. The winters are long. The winds can be fierce. The nights are cold even during summer. Yet for the people who call this land home, it is simply life. Imagine looking across the grasslands early in the morning. A herd of yaks moves slowly through the mist. Their thick coats protect them from the cold. Nearby, sheep quietly graze while shepherds watch over them with calm patience. A few horses stand together, their breath rising into the chilly air. Animals are at the heart of life here. Without them, survival would be much harder. The yak is especially important. It provides milk. It provides butter. It provides meat. Its wool becomes warm clothing. Its hide becomes leather. It carries heavy loads across mountain paths where wagons cannot travel. Even dried yak dung becomes fuel for cooking fire in places where trees are scarce. Every part of the animal has value. Nothing is wasted. Imagine following a family as they begin their day. The father steps outside before sunrise to check the animals. The mother lights a small fire inside the home. Soon the gentle smell of warm yak butter tea fills the room. Children slowly wake beneath thick wool blankets. Grandparents smile quietly as another day begins. Breakfast is simple but filling. Warm tea, fresh dairy, barley bread, sometimes dried meat. The meal is shared together. There is no rush. The mountains have taught these people that patience is often wiser than speed. Outside, the village slowly comes alive. Some homes are built from heavy stone. Others use packed earth. In different regions, families live in sturdy tents woven from thick yak hair. These dark tents stand strong against powerful mountain winds. Inside, they feel warm and welcoming. Simple wooden chests hold clothing and treasured belongings. Bright woven rugs cover the floor. Cooking pots hang above the fire. Everything has its place. Life here is practical. People keep only what they truly need. As you walk through the settlement, neighbors greet one another warmly. Children laugh as they help gather water from a nearby stream. Young boys practice riding horses across the open grassland. Young girls learn weaving, cooking, and caring for younger brothers and sisters, though many children also help with animals and household work together. The entire family shares responsibility. No one works alone. When a neighbor needs help repairing a roof or moving animals to fresh pasture, others gladly come. Community is one of the greatest strengths of life upon the plateau. The land can be difficult. People depend upon each other. Imagine sitting beside an elderly storyteller as the evening fire burns gently. His face is weathered by many winters. His voice is calm and steady. He speaks of ancestors who crossed these same valleys centuries before. He tells stories of brave horsemen, wise leaders, and families who survived harsh winters through courage and kindness. Children listen carefully. Every story carries a lesson. Respect the mountains. Honor your family. Keep your promises. Care for your animals. Share food with travelers. These lessons are remembered long after the stories end. Long before Tibet became one united empire, the plateau was home to many different clans. Each clan had its own leaders, its own traditions, its own grazing lands. Some were close friends. Others competed over pasture, water, or trade routes. Yet despite their differences, they shared many customs. They understood the land in similar ways. They respected courage. They admired skilled horse riders. They valued loyalty. Slowly, over many generations, stronger leaders began bringing these clans together. Not through constant fighting alone, but also through marriage, agreements, shared goals, and careful leadership. One family gradually rose above the others. Their home lay in the Yarlung Valley. This fertile valley became one of the most important places in early Tibetan history. Imagine walking through the Yarlung Valley during spring. Snowmelt feeds clear rivers. Fields of barley begin turning green. Small villages are surrounded by stone walls. Smoke rises gently from cooking fires. The valley feels protected by mountains on every side. It is a good place to build a future. It is here that a remarkable young ruler would one day begin changing history. His name was Songtsen Gampo. When he was still very young, he inherited great responsibility. Leading a kingdom was never simple. Many different clans still had their own interests. Some supported him. Others did not. Yet Songtsen Gampo proved to be patient, thoughtful, and determined. He understood something very important. A kingdom becomes stronger when its people work together. Imagine the young king riding across the plateau. He travels not simply to command, but to listen. He meets village elders, clan leaders, shepherds, merchants, warriors. He learns about distant valleys, about difficult winters, about the best mountain passes, about places where trade can grow. Little by little, trust begins to spread. Under his leadership, more clans agree to unite. The kingdom grows larger. Roads improve. Messengers travel farther than before. Trade increases. Communication becomes easier. The people begin thinking of themselves not only as members of separate clans, but as part of something greater. A new kingdom is taking shape. Imagine workers building stronger roads through difficult mountain terrain. Each stone is placed carefully. Each bridge helps travelers cross rushing rivers. Caravans can now move more safely between distant settlements. Merchants bring salt, wool, horses, and precious stones. They return with silk, paper, metal tools, and beautiful crafts from neighboring lands. Trade brings more than goods. It brings ideas, new technologies, different beliefs, fresh ways of thinking. Songtsen Gampo understands that learning from neighbors can strengthen his kingdom. One of his greatest achievements is encouraging the creation of a written Tibetan language. Before this time, many traditions are remembered through spoken stories. Now scholars begin adapting a writing system that allows laws, history, prayers, and important records to be written down. Imagine a quiet room where a scholar carefully copies the first Tibetan letters onto smooth paper. His brush moves slowly. Every character is formed with care. He knows these symbols may one day preserve the wisdom of his people for countless generations. Writing changes everything. History can now be recorded. Messages become clearer. Knowledge can travel farther than memory alone. As the kingdom grows, Songtsen Gampo also builds relationships beyond the mountains. He sends ambassadors to neighboring states. He welcomes visitors from distant lands. Diplomacy becomes just as important as military strength. Among the most famous events of his reign are his marriages to foreign princesses. These marriages help build friendships with powerful neighbors. One bride comes from Nepal. Another comes from the Tang Empire of China. These royal marriages are remembered in many traditions as symbols of cooperation between kingdoms. Along with the princesses come skilled craftsmen, artists, religious teachers, and new cultural influences. Ideas travel quietly alongside people. Temples begin to appear. New forms of architecture decorate the valleys. Art becomes richer. Music becomes more varied. The kingdom slowly opens its doors to the wider world. Religion also begins changing. Before the arrival of Buddhism, many Tibetans follow ancient beliefs that modern historians often call the burn tradition. People honor the spirits of mountains, rivers, lakes, and ancestors. Ceremonies are held beneath open skies. Sacred places are treated with deep respect. These traditions remain important to many families. Gradually, Buddhist teachings also begin spreading across the plateau. Rather than replacing older beliefs overnight, different traditions often exist together for many years. Change comes slowly, like the turning of the seasons. Imagine standing quietly outside a newly built temple. Prayer chants drift gently into the morning air. Nearby, an old shepherd quietly offers respect to the surrounding mountains before continuing his journey. Both acts express gratitude. Both reflect the deep spiritual life of the people. The kingdom continues growing stronger. Its horsemen become famous for their skill. From childhood, many boys and girls learn to ride. The horse is more than transportation. It is a trusted companion. It carries families across enormous distances. It helps move herds. It allows messengers to travel quickly across the plateau. Warriors become excellent riders because riding is already part of everyday life. Imagine watching a group of young riders practicing together. They guide their horses with remarkable confidence. The animals seem to understand every movement. Dust rises gently behind them as they cross the open grasslands beneath an endless blue sky. These riders do not know it yet, but one day their skills will be admired and feared far beyond Tibet. As the years pass, the kingdom becomes an empire. Neighboring rulers begin paying close attention. Merchants speak of Tibet's growing strength. Travelers describe its organized leadership. Diplomats carry messages between distant courts. Even in Chang'an, officials hear more frequent reports from the western mountains. The Tang Empire and the Tibetan Empire are no longer distant worlds. They are becoming neighbors whose interests slowly begin to overlap. Trade routes, mountain passes, border valleys. Each grows more valuable as both empires expand. For now, however, peace still holds. Caravans continue crossing the mountains. Families continue harvesting barley. Children continue chasing one another across the grasslands. The stars still shine over both kingdoms. No one living an ordinary life can know exactly what the future will bring. As evening returns to the plateau, shepherds gather their flocks. Smoke rises once more from village homes. Warm butter tea is poured into wooden cups. Families gather around gentle fires, while the cold mountain wind whispers outside. Above them stretches one of the clearest night skies on Earth. Thousands upon thousands of stars sparkle in the darkness. The mountains stand silent beneath the moon. The young Tibetan Empire rests peacefully. Yet beyond those snowy peaks lies another great civilization. Both empires are growing. Both are becoming stronger. And as they continue to expand, their paths will soon cross in ways that neither side can fully predict. As the night grows quieter, let us leave the warm fires of the plateau behind. In our next chapter, we will follow the winding roads that connect these two remarkable worlds, exploring the borderlands, the Silk Road, and the peaceful exchanges of traders, monks, diplomats, and travelers before the first great tensions begin to emerge. The first light of dawn quietly returns. A gentle breeze moves across the wide grasslands of the Tibetan plateau before drifting down through narrow valleys and across peaceful rivers. The mountains glow softly beneath the rising sun, while far to the east, the great cities of the Tang Empire slowly awaken. Imagine yourself standing between these two remarkable worlds. Behind you lie the high plateaus of Tibet. Ahead of you stretch the rich plains of China. Between them are some of the most beautiful and challenging landscapes on Earth. This is not an empty frontier. It is a living world. A place where travelers meet, where ideas are exchanged, where goods pass from one empire to another, and where people from many different cultures quietly shape history together. Let us begin our journey along one of these ancient roads. The path beneath your feet is uneven. Sometimes it is little more than a narrow trail winding around steep cliffs. Sometimes it widens into a well-used caravan route, marked by countless footprints left behind over many generations. Every stone has witnessed thousands of travelers. Every bend in the road hides another peaceful view. As you walk, you hear only simple sounds. The steady footsteps of horses, the gentle bells hanging from the necks of pack animals, the quiet murmur of travelers sharing stories, the wind moving through tall grasses. Everything feels slow. Everything feels patient. Travel during this time is never hurried. A merchant cannot simply decide to visit another kingdom for a few days. Even a short journey may take weeks. Crossing mountains may require months. Travelers must prepare carefully before leaving home. Food must be packed. Warm clothing must be repaired. Animals must be healthy. Every journey depends upon careful planning. Imagine a caravan preparing to depart from a small market town. Dozens of pack animals wait quietly. Some carry silk wrapped inside waterproof cloth. Others carry tea pressed into firm bricks. There are bundles of paper, rolls of beautiful fabric, bags of salt, small wooden chests filled with precious medicines. Fine pottery is wrapped carefully in straw to prevent breaking during the long journey. Every item has value. Every package must arrive safely. The caravan leader walks slowly among the animals. He checks every rope, every saddle, every load. Experience has taught him that even a small mistake can become a large problem many days later. He has crossed these roads many times before. He knows which rivers rise after heavy rain. He knows where fresh water can be found. He knows which mountain passes remain open during different seasons. Knowledge is more valuable than speed. As the caravan begins moving, the sound is gentle. Hooves press softly into the earth. Wooden wheels turn steadily. Occasionally, someone begins humming a quiet song. No one rushes ahead. The group stays together. The road can be lonely. Companionship makes the journey easier. Imagine joining these travelers for several days. Morning begins before sunrise. A simple breakfast is shared beside the campfire. Warm tea, fresh bread, dried meat, perhaps a handful of nuts or dried fruit. The meal is modest, yet everyone seems grateful. After breakfast, blankets are folded. Animals are loaded once again. The journey continues. During the day, conversations come and go. One merchant speaks about his family waiting at home. Another describes a beautiful temple he visited many years earlier. A young traveler asks questions about distant cities he has never seen. An older guide smiles patiently as he answers each one. Every traveler carries more than goods. They carry memories, dreams, knowledge, stories. In many ways, these roads transport ideas just as often as they transport silk. Imagine meeting a Buddhist monk walking alone with nothing but a simple staff and a small bundle over his shoulder. His clothing is plain. His face is peaceful. He walks slowly, never appearing tired. He greets every traveler with kindness. Some ask him about distant monasteries. Others simply bow with respect. The monk shares gentle teachings wherever he goes. He speaks about compassion, patience, kindness, inner peace. He asks for very little: a bowl of food, a place to sleep, a quiet corner where he may pray. In return, he offers wisdom gathered from many years of travel. Not far behind him walks another traveler. He is a scholar. His pack is unusually heavy because it contains precious books. Each scroll has been wrapped carefully to protect it from rain and dust. He has spent years collecting knowledge from different kingdoms, languages, religious writings, medical ideas, astronomy, history. His greatest treasure is not gold. It is learning. Imagine stopping beside a small roadside inn as evening approaches. The building is simple. Stone walls protect travelers from cold mountain winds. Inside, a fire burns warmly. People from many different lands share the same room. One speaks Chinese. Another speaks Tibetan. Nearby sits a merchant from Central Asia. A traveler from India quietly drinks warm tea. Although they do not all share the same language, smiles require no translation. Kind gestures are understood everywhere. Someone offers fresh bread. Another shares dried fruit. Before long, laughter gently fills the room. The road has brought strangers together. For one peaceful evening, they become companions. Outside, snow begins falling lightly upon the mountain pass. Inside, the fire crackles softly. Stories continue late into the night. Imagine listening to those stories. One traveler describes the enormous markets of Chang'an. Another speaks of the open grasslands of Tibet. Someone else remembers the hot deserts far to the west. Another tells of tropical forests filled with colorful birds. For many listeners, these places sound almost magical. Few people will ever see them with their own eyes. Yet through storytelling, distant worlds become a little closer. These conversations quietly connect civilizations. Long before books become common, travelers themselves become living libraries. Each person carries information gathered across thousands of miles. Kings value these travelers. Merchants depend upon them. Scholars learn from them. Ordinary families eagerly listen whenever someone returns from a distant journey. Imagine arriving at a busy trading town near the frontier. The market is smaller than Chang'an, yet wonderfully lively. Stalls stand close together beneath colorful cloth roofs. The air is filled with pleasant scents. Fresh bread, warm tea, spices, wood smoke, leather newly worked by skilled craftsmen. Here, people from both empires meet almost every day. A Tang merchant carefully examines fine Tibetan horses. A Tibetan trader admires smooth Chinese silk. One exchanges salt for grain. Another trades medicinal herbs for beautifully crafted metal tools. Nobody sees these exchanges as unusual. Trade has become part of everyday life. Friendships slowly grow through repeated meetings. A merchant who visits every spring becomes a familiar face. Children wave as his caravan arrives. Local families invite trusted visitors into their homes. Hospitality builds quiet bridges between different cultures. Imagine sitting inside one such home. The walls are decorated simply. The meal is modest but generous. Guests are offered the best food available. Warm tea is poured into cups again and again. The family asks gentle questions. How was the journey? Were the mountain passes safe? How is the harvest in the east? Has the winter been severe upon the plateau? These simple conversations help kingdoms understand one another. News travels person to person, village to village, market to market. Sometimes it reaches kings months later. Not every traveler is a merchant. Some are official messengers carrying sealed letters. These riders travel quickly whenever possible. Fresh horses wait at certain stations along important roads. Each message is carefully protected. Some letters discuss trade. Others announce marriages between noble families. Some contain invitations. Others carry warnings about storms, floods, or dangerous landslides blocking important passes. Communication is slow by modern standards. Yet compared with earlier generations, it has become remarkably organized. Imagine watching a messenger disappear into the distance. His horse moves steadily beneath the bright afternoon sun. Behind him, dust rises gently before slowly settling once again. The message he carries may shape decisions made hundreds of miles away. Perhaps it will encourage friendship. Perhaps it will prevent misunderstanding. Words can sometimes be as powerful as armies. Nature, however, remains the greatest ruler of these borderlands. Imagine traveling through a mountain pass during early autumn. Golden grass bends gently in the cool wind. Snow has not yet arrived. The sky is perfectly clear. The journey feels peaceful. Now imagine the same pass only 2 months later. Everything has changed. Snow covers the path. Ice forms beside the rocks. Strong winds make every step more difficult. Even experienced guides move carefully. Many travelers choose to wait until spring before crossing again. The mountains decide when people may pass. Human plans must respect nature. These difficult landscapes also shape politics. Certain valleys become extremely important because they offer the safest routes between empires. A single mountain pass may save weeks of travel. A fertile valley may feed thousands of people. A river crossing may become the key to an entire region. Leaders understand this well. Maps are studied carefully. Messengers report on road conditions. Officials count travelers entering and leaving frontier towns. Not because they expect immediate conflict, but because wise rulers always pay attention to important places. At first, the relationship between the Tang Empire and Tibet is often respectful. Ambassadors exchange gifts. Royal marriages strengthen diplomatic ties. Merchants continue trading. Travelers continue crossing the mountains. Many people hope these peaceful connections will last for generations. Imagine standing beside two officials meeting at a frontier post. They bow politely. Tea is served. Small gifts are exchanged. Letters sealed with royal marks are presented carefully. Both men smile. Both speak respectfully. Each understands that peaceful words are far easier than repairing broken trust. Yet beneath every friendly conversation lies a quiet awareness. Both empires are growing. Both are becoming stronger. Both recognize the importance of these mountain roads. Neither wishes to lose influence over them. Most ordinary people never think about such matters. They simply wish to raise their children, harvest their crops, care for their animals, welcome travelers, enjoy peaceful evenings beneath familiar stars. But history often changes slowly, not with one sudden event. Instead, small decisions gather over many years. A new road is built. A frontier village grows larger. A trade agreement changes. A local leader requests protection. Each event seems small by itself. Together, they begin shaping the future. As evening falls over the borderlands, caravans make camp beside a quiet stream. Cooking fires flicker gently in the growing darkness. The smell of warm soup drifts through the cool air. Horses rest after another long day. Travelers look upward. Above them, the same stars shine over Tibet. The same stars shine over Chang'an. The same stars shine over every village, every mountain, and every winding road between the two great empires. For a little while longer, these roads remain pathways of friendship, trade, learning, and shared curiosity. But change is already beginning. Far away, in royal courts filled with maps and careful discussions, leaders are starting to look beyond their own borders. They see not only neighbors, but opportunities. They see not only mountains, but strategic passes. They see not only peaceful roads, but the keys to protecting their growing realms. As the night grows deeper and the campfires burn lower, let us quietly leave the borderlands behind. In our next chapter, we will enter the royal courts of the Tang and Tibetan empires, where emperors, ministers, and ambassadors begin making decisions that will slowly transform peaceful neighbors into determined rivals, setting the stage for the first chapters of the Tang-Tibetan Wars. The stars slowly fade as another gentle morning begins. A thin veil of mist rests over the rivers. Birds awaken in quiet forests. Farmers open the doors of their homes, while shepherds lead their animals toward fresh grass. Across Asia, another peaceful day begins much like the one before it. Yet while ordinary people prepare for simple daily work, important conversations are already beginning inside two distant royal courts. Imagine that we first return to the magnificent city of Chang'an. The streets are still calm. Shopkeepers are sweeping the entrances to their stores. Temple bells ring softly in the cool morning air. The first rays of sunlight touch the red walls of the imperial palace. From outside, the palace appears almost like a city within a city. High walls surround beautiful gardens. Elegant gates stand beneath sweeping roofs covered with shining tiles. Quiet ponds reflect willow trees that gently sway in the morning breeze. Nothing feels hurried. Everything moves according to careful tradition. Imagine walking through one of the palace courtyards. Officials dressed in long silk robes quietly make their way toward the great audience hall. Each robe tells something about the wearer's position. Some wear deep crimson. Others wear shades of purple or green. Every detail has meaning. Even the hats they wear follow ancient rules. The officials walk with calm and respectful steps. Many have spent years studying before earning the honor of serving the emperor. Some are experts in farming. Others understand taxes. Some advise on law. Others devote their lives to history, astronomy, engineering, or diplomacy. Each morning, they gather not to compete with one another, but to help govern one of the largest empires in the world. Inside the audience hall, silence fills the vast space. Tall wooden pillars rise toward an elegantly painted ceiling. Sunlight enters through carefully placed windows. Incense burns gently, filling the room with a pleasant fragrance. Everything encourages thoughtful conversation rather than loud voices. The emperor sits upon the throne. He is surrounded by symbols of responsibility rather than simple luxury. To many people throughout the empire, he is not only a ruler. He is expected to care for millions of lives. Good harvests, fair laws, safe roads, peaceful borders. These are all part of his duty. Imagine watching the morning meeting begin. One official reports that rice harvests have been plentiful in the south. Another explains that repairs to an important bridge have been completed. A messenger from the western frontier arrives carrying carefully sealed documents. He bows deeply before presenting the letters. The room remains quiet as the messages are opened. Many concern ordinary matters: trade, road maintenance, local disputes, appointments of new officials. But every report from the Western Mountains receives careful attention. The frontier is very far away, yet it connects the empire to many neighboring lands. It is a place where merchants travel, where ambassadors meet, where opportunity and uncertainty often walk side by side. Maps are slowly unrolled across polished wooden tables. They are beautiful works of art as much as practical tools. Mountains are carefully painted. Rivers curve gently across the parchment. Roads stretch toward distant horizons. Each valley, each pass, each fortress, every important location is marked with great care. Officials study these maps patiently. No one points dramatically. No one raises their voice. Questions are asked thoughtfully. What is happening along the frontier? Have the roads remained open? Are merchants traveling safely? Have neighboring rulers sent new ambassadors? Information is gathered slowly. Every detail matters. Now let us leave Chang'an for a little while. Our journey carries us westward once more. Across rivers, across forests, across towering mountains, until we arrive upon the high Tibetan plateau. Here, another royal court is beginning its day. It feels different from the Tang Palace, yet it is equally impressive in its own way. Stone buildings stand proudly against the mountain landscape. Prayer banners flutter gently in the breeze. The crisp mountain air carries the smell of fresh grass and wood smoke. Horsemen arrive from distant valleys, bringing news gathered across the plateau. Messengers travel great distances to reach the king's court. Some have ridden for many days without rest. Their horses are tired. Their clothing is covered with dust from long mountain roads. Yet the news they carry is valuable. Inside the royal hall, leaders from many different regions gather together. Some represent fertile valleys. Others come from high grasslands, where countless yaks graze beneath endless skis. Each leader understands the importance of unity. Only a few generations earlier, many of these communities had acted independently. Now they are learning to think as one kingdom. The work of building an empire never truly ends. It requires constant attention. Imagine the king listening carefully as each messenger speaks. One reports that new settlements are growing stronger. Another describes successful trade with distant merchants. A third explains that travelers have returned safely from neighboring kingdoms. Each report helps the king understand the changing world beyond the mountains. Just like the Tang emperor, the Tibetan ruler studies maps. His maps may look different. Many are simpler. Some rely upon memory rather than written measurements. Experienced guides know every valley, every river crossing, every grazing ground, every hidden mountain pass. Their knowledge is as valuable as any written document. Imagine an old mountain guide spreading a rough map across a wooden table. Instead of measuring distance with rulers, he traces familiar routes using his finger. This pass remains open until the first heavy snow. That valley has fresh water. This road is safe during summer. The western trail becomes dangerous after autumn. His experience has been earned through decades of travel. Everyone listens with respect. As the morning continues, Another important subject is discussed. Trade. Trade brings prosperity. It allows families to obtain goods they cannot produce themselves. Chinese silk reaches Tibetan markets. Strong Tibetan horses become highly valued by Tang officials. Salt travels east. Tea travels west. Paper, medicines, jewelry, metal tools, beautiful cloth. Every caravan strengthens connections between distant peoples. Protecting these trade routes becomes increasingly important. Imagine two merchants meeting once again after many years. One comes from the Tang Empire, the other from Tibet. They greet one another warmly. They remember earlier journeys. They ask about each other's families. Business grows easier when trust has been built over time. Many friendships quietly cross political borders. Ordinary people often find common ground long before rulers do. Yet both governments understand that trade routes also carry influence. Who controls an important road? Who protects the mountain passes? Who collects taxes from passing caravans? Who guarantees the safety of travelers? These questions slowly become more important. Not because either empire desires endless conflict, but because both wish to secure their future. Imagine standing high above one of the great mountain passes. Below you, the narrow road winds through steep cliffs. Only one caravan can pass comfortably at a time. Anyone who controls this route controls an important connection between worlds. Leaders understand this immediately. A peaceful pass allows trade to flourish. A closed pass brings hardship to merchants and villages alike. Far below, however, life remains wonderfully ordinary. A shepherd whistles gently while guiding his flock. Children gather wild flowers beside a stream. Women wash clothing in clear mountain water. An elderly craftsman repairs a wooden cart that has served his family for many years. History often remembers kings. Yet it is ordinary people who quietly keep kingdoms alive. Imagine a frontier village where Tang and Tibetan traders regularly meet. Children grow up hearing more than one language. Some families own both Chinese silk and Tibetan wool. Meals combine traditions from different lands. Travelers exchange recipes. Musicians learn unfamiliar songs. Ideas move as naturally as rivers flowing downhill. Many people living near the frontier do not see themselves as enemies of anyone. Their neighbors simply happen to come from another kingdom. The border is not always a wall. Sometimes it is a bridge. Sometimes it is a meeting place. Sometimes it is simply another road. As afternoon sunlight warms the valleys, diplomats continue their work. These men rarely carry swords. Instead, they carry letters, gifts, carefully chosen words. Diplomacy requires patience. One careless sentence may create misunderstanding. One thoughtful conversation may preserve peace for years. Imagine an ambassador preparing to visit the neighboring empire. His servants carefully pack gifts. Beautiful silk, fine horses, rare medicines, works of art. Each gift carries meaning beyond its appearance. It says, "We respect you. We wish for friendship. We recognize your importance." When the ambassador finally arrives after weeks of travel, every movement follows careful ceremony. He bows. His hosts bow in return. Tea is served. Conversations begin gently. No difficult subject is mentioned immediately. First comes hospitality. Only afterward do serious discussions begin. This patience is shared by both civilizations. Neither court wishes to appear rude. Both understand that dignity matters. Respect opens doors that force often cannot. But despite these polite meetings, quiet concerns continue growing. The Tang court notices that Tibet has become stronger than it was only a generation earlier. Its armies are larger. Its leadership is more organized. Its influence reaches farther across the plateau. At the same time, Tibetan leaders observe the remarkable wealth and power of the Tang Empire. Its cities continue growing. Its roads improve. Its population increases. Its influence spreads toward the west. Both empires admire one another. Both also watch one another carefully. Imagine two great trees growing side by side. At first, each has plenty of room. But as the years pass, their branches slowly begin reaching toward the same sunlight. Neither tree wishes to harm the other. Yet nature quietly brings them closer together. History often unfolds in much the same way. No single morning suddenly changes everything. Instead, many small moments slowly gather. A new fortress is built. A frontier village expands. A caravan chooses one route instead of another. A local leader asks for protection. A border dispute remains unresolved just a little longer than expected. Each event seems minor. Together, they begin changing the relationship between two great empires. As evening settles across Asia once again, lamps begin glowing inside both royal palaces. Officials finish writing reports. Messengers prepare for tomorrow's journeys. The emperors retire from their audience halls. Outside the cities, ordinary families share their evening meals. Children laugh. Dogs curl beside warm fires. The stars return above mountains and rivers alike. Peace still exists. The roads remain open. Merchants continue traveling. Diplomats continue speaking. But like distant thunder hidden beyond the mountains, change is slowly approaching. Neither emperor can yet see exactly how the future will unfold. Neither kingdom can fully predict how important the western frontier will become. Yet with every passing season, the quiet borderlands become just a little more significant. And soon, the first small disagreements over land, alliances, and trade will begin to test the friendship between these two remarkable civilizations. As the night grows still and the palace lamps burn softly beneath the stars, let us quietly close the gates of both royal courts. In our next chapter, we will gently explore those first tensions along the frontier, small misunderstandings, competing ambitions, and the slow, careful steps that gradually transformed peaceful neighbors into rivals, long before the great battles of the Tang-Tibetan Wars began. Another quiet dawn arrives. The mountains wake before the valleys. Soft golden light touches the snowy peaks while the villages below still rest beneath cool morning shadows. A gentle breeze carries the fresh scent of grass, pine, and clear river water. Imagine yourself once again walking along the ancient frontier. Not a sharp line drawn upon a map. Not a wall stretching across the land. Instead, it is a wide region filled with valleys, rivers, grasslands, and mountain passes where people from many cultures have lived side by side for generations. For many years, these lands have been places of meeting rather than separation. Merchants have traded here. Monks have traveled here. Families have welcomed strangers into their homes. Children have grown up hearing stories from distant kingdoms. The frontier has never belonged to only one people. It has always been shared. Imagine arriving at a small village, resting beside a gentle river. Smoke rises from stone chimneys. Dogs lazily stretch in the morning sunlight. Women carry water in wooden buckets. Men prepare their horses before beginning another day's work. Children laugh as they chase one another across the open fields. Life feels peaceful. No one speaks of great wars. Most people are thinking about very ordinary things. Will the harvest be good this year? Will enough rain fall before summer? Will relatives arrive safely from another valley? Will the sheep remain healthy through the coming winter? These simple questions matter far more than distant politics. Yet, far away in royal courts, different kinds of questions are beginning to appear. Who should protect this valley? Which kingdom should guide the trade passing through this mountain road? Which ruler should receive the loyalty of the local chiefs? These questions have no easy answers. The people living along the frontier often have friendships with both empires. Some trade with the Tang. Others trade with Tibet. Many have relatives living in different regions. Life does not fit neatly into borders. Imagine meeting the headman of a small frontier settlement. His hair has turned silver with age. His face carries the gentle lines of many seasons spent beneath the mountain sun. He welcomes travelers from every direction. When Tang merchants arrive, he offers them warm tea. When Tibetan shepherds visit, he greets them just as kindly. To him, hospitality is more important than politics. His greatest wish is simple. He hopes his grandchildren will grow up in peace. For many local leaders, this is the only dream that truly matters. Imagine spending an afternoon sitting beside the village marketplace. It is not a large market. Only a few dozen stalls stand beneath simple cloth roofs. Yet every stall tells a story. A Tang merchant displays smooth silk that shines softly in the sunlight. Beside him, a Tibetan trader offers thick wool blankets perfect for cold mountain nights. Nearby, another family sells carved wooden bowls. An elderly woman quietly arranges baskets filled with dried herbs gathered from nearby hills. People move slowly between the stalls. They smile. They greet familiar faces. Children sample sweet fruits, while their parents discuss prices with patient voices. The marketplace feels more like a gathering of neighbors than a place of business. Trade creates friendships. Friendships create trust. Trust makes the frontier feel smaller. But not everyone sees the border in quite the same way. Imagine a Tang official arriving to inspect the region. He carries scrolls filled with reports from the capital. He speaks politely with village elders. He asks careful questions. How many travelers have passed this month? Have there been any problems along the roads? Has anyone requested assistance? His duty is not to create trouble. His duty is to understand the frontier. A few days later, a Tibetan representative arrives with similar concerns. He also asks about travelers, about trade, about safety, about nearby settlements. Neither man is unkind. Neither wishes for conflict. Yet both represent kingdoms that are becoming stronger each year. As their empires grow, their interests slowly begin to overlap. Imagine looking down from a high hill, overlooking one of the important mountain passes. Below, a narrow road winds between towering cliffs. A river flows beside it, sparkling beneath the afternoon sun. The valley is peaceful. Yet anyone standing here quickly understands its importance. Thousands of travelers depend upon this route. Merchants carrying valuable goods. Official messengers. Religious pilgrims. Horse traders. Craftsmen. Families searching for new homes. If this road becomes unsafe, many lives will become more difficult. If it remains open, prosperity continues. This simple truth is understood by both empires. Now imagine a small misunderstanding. Nothing dramatic. Nothing sudden. Perhaps a caravan pays taxes to one local ruler. Another ruler believes those taxes should have been paid to him instead. Perhaps two neighboring villages disagree about grazing land after a particularly dry summer. Perhaps a local chief promises friendship to one empire, only to later welcome officials from the other. These situations are common throughout history. Most begin as ordinary disagreements. Often they are settled peacefully. Sometimes they quietly remain unresolved. Imagine two village elders sitting beneath a large tree. They have gathered to discuss a shared pasture used by both communities. The conversation is calm. Each man explains his memories. My grandfather grazed animals here. Our families have always crossed this stream. No anger fills their voices. Only concern. Both wish to protect their people. Many disagreements are settled through patience and conversation. Yet some questions are harder to answer, especially when distant governments begin paying closer attention. Far away in Chang'an, reports continue arriving from the western frontier. Officials carefully record every detail. A bridge has been repaired. A caravan arrived safely. A village requests additional grain after poor weather. Another settlement reports increased trade with Tibet. Every report becomes another small piece of a much larger picture. Meanwhile, on the Tibetan plateau, similar reports reach the royal court. Messengers describe new settlements, road improvements, trade opportunities, friendly meetings with neighboring chiefs. The king listens carefully. Every valley, every road, every alliance matters. Neither empire wishes to be surprised. Imagine an experienced mapmaker carefully updating an old scroll. With a fine brush, he adds another village, another road, another mountain pass explored by recent travelers. Maps are never truly finished. They change as people move, build, and discover. The frontier itself changes just as slowly. A village grows into a town. A narrow trail becomes an important road. A seasonal market becomes a permanent settlement. Time quietly reshapes the land. Nature also reminds everyone that human plans remain small compared with the mountains. Imagine a sudden spring flood. Snow melts quickly after several warm days. The river rises higher than anyone expected. Wooden bridges are swept away. Roads disappear beneath rushing water. Travelers patiently wait until the waters fall once again. No kingdom commands the rivers. No emperor controls the weather. Everyone must adapt. The frontier teaches humility. Those who respect the mountains survive. Those who ignore nature often struggle. This shared challenge sometimes brings people together. Imagine villagers from different backgrounds rebuilding a damaged bridge. Tang carpenters work beside Tibetan laborers. Children carry small stones. Older women prepare warm food for everyone. No one asks where each helper was born. The bridge matters to all. Sometimes cooperation is simply the most practical choice. As the years pass, however, another change begins taking shape. Small frontier chiefs realize they occupy valuable lands. Some choose to strengthen ties with the Tang. Others seek friendship with Tibet. A few attempt to maintain good relations with both. This balancing act requires great wisdom. One wrong decision may disappoint a powerful neighbor. Imagine a local ruler receiving two groups of visitors within the same month. The first brings beautiful silk from the Tang court. The second presents fine horses from Tibet. Both offer friendship. Both hope for loyalty. The ruler smiles politely. He thanks each delegation sincerely. Yet after they leave, he sits quietly, wondering what choice will best protect his people. Leadership is rarely simple. Sometimes every option carries risk. Meanwhile, ordinary life continues. Farmers still plant barley. Rice fields still shimmer beneath gentle breezes farther east. Blacksmiths still shape iron tools. Potters still turn smooth clay upon their wheels. Children still learn songs from their grandparents. Most people know little about discussions taking place hundreds of miles away. Their world remains centered upon family, neighbors, and the changing seasons. This quiet contrast is one of history's gentle truths. While rulers discuss kingdoms, families prepare supper. While ambassadors exchange letters, children gather firewood. While maps are carefully studied, grandparents tell bedtime stories beside warm fires. Life continues, always, even while history slowly changes around it. Imagine the sun setting behind the mountains. Golden light fills the valleys one last time before fading into cool blue evening. Caravans stop for the night. Campfires begin glowing. The smell of fresh bread and warm soup drifts through the crisp mountain air. Travelers remove their heavy boots. Horses graze peacefully nearby. Someone quietly begins playing a simple melody upon a flute. Its soft notes float into the still evening. Around the fire, people speak of tomorrow's journey. Few speak of politics. Most discuss the weather, the condition of the roads, the beauty of the mountains, the kindness of strangers they have met along the way. Yet somewhere beyond the darkness, in the halls of both great empires, leaders continue watching these same roads with increasing interest. The frontier remains peaceful, but it is no longer merely a distant edge of the world. It has become a place of growing importance. Every season brings new opportunities. Every opportunity brings new questions. And every unanswered question slowly carries the two empires one careful step closer to rivalry. As the night grows deeper and the stars once again fill the endless sky, let us rest beside the quiet campfire and listen to the gentle whisper of the mountain wind. In our next chapter, we will witness the careful work of diplomats, royal marriages, and exchanged gifts, earnest efforts to preserve friendship between the Tang and Tibetan empires, even as the pressures along the frontier continue to grow beneath the calm surface. Morning arrives gently once again. A pale ribbon of light stretches across the eastern sky. Frost sparkles upon the grass before slowly disappearing beneath the warmth of the rising sun. The mountains stand silent, just as they did yesterday, and just as they have for thousands of years. Imagine yourself standing beside one of the great roads that crosses these high lands. The air is fresh. The wind is cool. In the distance, a line of horses slowly appears along the winding path. These are not merchants. They are not pilgrims. They are not wandering shepherds. Today, we are watching a diplomatic mission. The riders travel carefully. Each horse has been chosen for its strength and calm nature. The saddlebags do not carry goods for sale. Instead, they carry gifts. Beautiful gifts. Thoughtfully chosen gifts. Gifts that speak without using words. In the ancient world, diplomacy is much more than letters. It is a language of respect. A carefully wrapped bolt of silk can say, "We honor your friendship." A magnificent horse can say, "We trust your strength." A rare piece of jade can say, "May peace remain between us." Every gift carries a message. Every ceremony carries meaning. Imagine walking beside these riders as they continue toward the Tang capital. Their journey will last many weeks. They cross wide grassland where yaks graze peacefully beneath endless skis. They descend into narrow valleys filled with rushing rivers. They climb rocky mountain passes where snow still rests in the shadows. At every village, local families offer simple hospitality. Warm tea, fresh bread, a safe place to rest. The travelers respond with quiet gratitude. Kindness shown to a stranger is remembered for many years. As evening approaches, the ambassadors stop beside a small stream. The horses are watered. Cooking fires are lit. One servant carefully unwraps a wooden chest to make certain that the valuable gifts remain safe. Inside lies fine woven cloth, beautiful metalwork, small carvings made by skilled craftsmen. Each object has been prepared with great care. Nothing has been chosen by chance. Tomorrow the journey will continue. But tonight, beneath the stars, everyone simply rests. Imagine looking upward. The sky is wonderfully clear. Thousands of stars shine above the mountains. Some travelers quietly point toward familiar constellations. Others tell old stories about the heavens. Different kingdoms have different names for the stars. Yet everyone looks at the same night sky. Perhaps this is one of history's quiet reminders. People may speak different languages. They may wear different clothing. They may serve different rulers. But they all live beneath the same moon. Many days later, the ambassadors finally approach Chang'an. The great city slowly rises before them. Its walls appear enormous. Its gates welcome visitors from many lands. The visitors straighten their robes. They brush the dust from their clothing. Every detail matters. First impressions are important. The Tang officials are waiting. They receive the guests with courtesy. There is no shouting, no confusion. Everything follows carefully practiced tradition. The visitors bow. Their hosts bow in return. Respect is shown equally. Imagine entering the magnificent palace together. The great halls seem almost endless. Sunlight shines across polished floors. Incense drifts gently through the still air. Musicians quietly play soft melodies upon elegant instruments. The atmosphere encourages calm conversation, not hurried decisions. The ambassadors present the gifts one by one. A magnificent horse with a smooth, shining coat. Silk woven so finely that it seems almost to float in the light. Beautiful ornaments crafted from precious metals. Each item is admired carefully. The emperor accepts them with gratitude. Then he presents gifts in return. This balance is important. Friendship should never appear one-sided. Both kingdoms wish to show generosity. Both wish to preserve dignity. Imagine the conversations that follow. No one immediately discusses difficult questions. Instead, the guests ask about the emperor's health. The emperor asks about the journey across the mountains. Tea is served. Everyone drinks slowly. Only after these moments of welcome do serious discussions begin. The ambassadors speak about trade, about safe roads, about travelers crossing the frontier, about strengthening peaceful relations. Every sentence is chosen carefully. Words cannot be taken back once spoken. Patience is one of diplomacy's greatest virtues. Now let us return to the Tibetan court. Another delegation has arrived there. This time, Tang officials have crossed the mountains carrying gifts of their own. They bring rolls of fine silk, beautiful painted scrolls, delicate porcelain, books copied by skilled scholars, perhaps even rare medicines gathered from distant provinces. The Tibetan court welcomes them warmly. Again, bows are exchanged. Again, tea is shared. Again, conversations begin gently. Imagine watching two experienced diplomats speaking together. They smile often. They compliment one another's rulers. They praise the beauty of each other's lands. They exchange stories of difficult mountain journeys. Neither wishes to create unnecessary tension. Each understands that peaceful words may protect thousands of ordinary lives. Diplomacy often appears quiet. Yet its importance cannot be measured simply by volume. Sometimes a single thoughtful conversation prevents years of misunderstanding. Imagine a skilled interpreter sitting quietly beside the ambassadors. He understands several languages. Every sentence passes through him before reaching the listener. His responsibility is enormous. A small mistake could change the meaning of an important message. So he speaks slowly, carefully, respectfully. He chooses every word with great attention. His work is rarely remembered by history. Yet without people like him, peaceful diplomacy would be almost impossible. Beyond the royal courts, ordinary people continue building friendships of their own. Imagine a Tibetan horse trader who has visited the Tang frontier every spring for nearly 20 years. The children who once watched him arrive are now adults. They greet him like an old friend. He knows which family bakes the finest bread. He remembers which blacksmith repairs saddles with exceptional skill. The frontier has become familiar. Likewise, Tang merchants visiting Tibetan settlements are welcomed by families they have known for many years. Trust grows slowly. Like a tree, it cannot be rushed. But once it takes root, it becomes strong. Imagine two craftsmen working together. One is a Tang metal worker. The other comes from Tibet. They examine one another's techniques with genuine curiosity. The Tang craftsman demonstrates a new method of polishing bronze. The Tibetan craftsman explains how mountain climate affects certain metals. Neither guards every secret. Instead, they learn from each other. Knowledge travels just as surely as caravans. Religious ideas also continue moving across these roads. Buddhist monks travel between monasteries. Sacred texts are copied. Teachers share lessons with eager students. New temples appear in places where none had stood before. Imagine entering one of these quiet monasteries. The sound of chanting fills the peaceful hall. Butter lamps glow softly. The air carries the gentle fragrance of incense. Young students sit patiently before elderly teachers. Outside, the world continues changing. Inside, time seems almost still. The monks speak of compassion, of patience, of wisdom. Their teachings remind listeners that anger often grows from misunderstanding. Kindness begins with careful listening. These simple lessons are welcomed by people in both kingdoms. Even rulers sometimes seek advice from respected religious teachers. Imagine an elderly monk speaking softly to a young official. The strongest bridge, he says, is built with trust. The official bows respectfully. He understands the lesson. Yet he also knows that governing a kingdom is never simple. Good intentions alone cannot solve every problem. As both empires continue growing, new challenges quietly appear. Trade increases each year. More travelers cross the frontier. More villages become prosperous. Mountain roads become busier than ever before. Success itself creates new questions. Who should maintain these roads? Who should protect merchants? Who should settle disagreements between neighboring communities? Who should collect taxes from caravans? These questions are practical. But practical questions often become political ones. Imagine two neighboring frontier chiefs. Both have governed peacefully for many years. Now a growing trade route passes through their lands. Caravans become more frequent. Markets become larger. The road brings wealth. It also brings responsibility. Both chiefs wish to protect the travelers. Both believe they should oversee the route. Neither man is cruel. Neither desires conflict. Yet each sincerely believes his position is reasonable. History often unfolds through such quiet disagreements. Not because people are wicked, but because different people view the same situation in different ways. Back in the royal courts, scribes continue recording every diplomatic meeting. Brushes glide across paper. Names are carefully written. Dates are noted. Gifts are listed. Agreements are preserved. These records will one day help historians understand how patiently both empires worked to maintain friendship. It is important to remember this. The Tang in Tibet did not rush toward war. For many years, they invested great effort in peace. Letters crossed the mountains. Envoys traveled dangerous roads. Royal marriages strengthened family ties. Generous gifts were exchanged. Respectful ceremonies were observed. Both civilizations understood the value of cooperation. Yet history is shaped not only by friendship. It is also shaped by changing circumstances. As evening slowly settles once again, the ambassadors prepare for another day's journey. Some begin returning home. Others remain a little longer. The roads continue carrying travelers in both directions. Campfires glow beside quiet streams. Horses graze peacefully beneath the fading light. The mountains watch silently over every traveler, just as they always have. The stars appear one by one. The same stars shine above Chang'an. The same stars shine above the Tibetan plateau. The same stars shine above every frontier village where families hope tomorrow will be as peaceful as today. As the night grows deeper, the gifts have been exchanged. The letters have been delivered. The polite words have been spoken. For now, friendship still holds. But beneath the calm surface, the frontier continues to grow more important with each passing year. And soon, both empires will discover that goodwill alone cannot always answer the difficult questions of power, protection, and influence. As the campfires slowly fade into glowing embers and the cool mountain breeze whispers through the valleys, let us quietly close this chapter. In our next chapter, we will gently explore the frontier kingdoms and oasis states that stood between the Tang Empire and Tibet, small but vital lands whose choices would gradually draw the two great empires into their first direct struggles. The morning begins quietly once more. A cool breeze moves across the high mountains before drifting down into peaceful valleys. The first sunlight touches distant snowfields, then slowly reaches the winding roads below, where travelers are already beginning another long day. Imagine yourself standing where many worlds meet. To the east lies the mighty Tang Empire. To the southwest stretches the growing Tibetan Empire. Far to the west are deserts, fertile oases, and distant kingdoms connected by the Great Silk Road. Between these powerful lands are many smaller kingdoms. They are not empty spaces upon a map. They are living places. Each has its own people, its own traditions, its own rulers, its own hopes for peace. Let us take a slow walk through these frontier lands. The road beneath our feet follows a gentle river that winds through a broad valley. Fields of barley sway softly in the morning breeze. Fruit trees grow beside small villages. Stone houses stand close together for warmth during the long winters. Children carry baskets while their parents work in nearby fields. Life here feels calm. The people who live in these valleys do not think of themselves as standing between great empires. They think of themselves as farmers, craftsmen, shepherds, merchants, parents, neighbors. Their lives are shaped more by the changing seasons than by distant royal courts. Yet history has placed them in an important position. Imagine an elderly farmer looking toward the mountains. He has watched caravans pass for nearly 50 years. Some travelers come from Chang'an carrying silk. Others arrive from Tibet with strong horses and warm wool. Still others journey from Central Asia with spices, glassware, and beautiful jewelry. The farmers smile as another caravan disappears into the distance. To him, travelers are simply part of life. They bring news. They buy grain. They share stories. The road has always belonged to everyone. As we continue walking westward, the landscape slowly changes. The green valleys become drier. The rivers grow smaller. Mountains give way to broad open plains and rocky hills. Far ahead, the first oasis town appears like a peaceful island, surrounded by a sea of sand. Imagine entering this oasis. Tall trees provide welcome shade. Fresh water flows through carefully built canals. Gardens bloom beside whitewashed homes. Birds sing among the branches. Travelers arriving after many days in the desert breathe with relief. Here they find cool water, fresh food, a safe place to rest. For centuries, these oasis towns have been the beating heart of the Silk Road. Without them, few long journeys would be possible. Merchants stop here to feed their animals. Blacksmiths repair broken horseshoes. Tailors mend worn clothing. Innkeepers welcome tired travelers. Every visitor leaves behind a little money. Trade allows these small kingdoms to prosper. Imagine the marketplace at midday. The square is full of gentle conversation. A merchant from China carefully unfolds shimmering silk. Beside him, a trader from Tibet displays thick wool cloaks. Another merchant offers colorful glass cups brought from lands far to the west. Nearby, someone sells fragrant spices that fill the warm air with pleasant scents. Children weave between the stalls carrying baskets of fresh bread. Musicians quietly play simple melodies while people browse the market. It feels less like a business center and more like a celebration of many cultures living together. Different languages fill the air. Chinese, Tibetan, Sogdian, Turkic languages, perhaps Sanskrit spoken by travelers from India. Although not everyone understands every word, trade continues smoothly. A smile, a nod, a careful gesture. Sometimes these are enough. Imagine watching an experienced merchant bargain over a beautiful horse. The conversation is calm, respectful. Neither buyer nor seller wishes to offend the other. Both understand that today's trading partner may become tomorrow's friend. Trust is worth more than a single successful sale. Now let us visit one of the small royal courts that governs an oasis kingdom. Compared with the great palaces of Chang'an, it is modest. Compared with the halls of Tibet, it is smaller. Yet for the people living here, it is the center of their world. Imagine a local king sitting beneath a painted wooden roof. His advisors stand nearby. Maps of nearby valleys and roads lie upon a low table. Messengers arrive carrying reports from different directions. One announces that a caravan from the Tang Empire has safely arrived. Another reports that Tibetan traders reached the western market only yesterday. A third speaks of heavy snowfall blocking a mountain pass. Every piece of news matters, because this small kingdom depends upon open roads. Imagine being this ruler for a moment. Your kingdom is peaceful. Your people are hardworking. Your markets are prosperous. But you also know that two powerful neighbors are growing stronger every year. Both value your friendship. Both wish to trade through your lands. Both promise protection. Neither openly threatens you. Yet choosing how to balance these relationships requires great wisdom. The king understands that every decision must be made carefully. If he favors one empire too strongly, the other may feel ignored. If he refuses both, he risks standing alone. So he follows the path of patience. He welcomes every ambassador politely. He sends gifts to both courts. He encourages peaceful trade. Like many small rulers throughout history, his greatest goal is simply to keep his people safe. Imagine two ambassadors arriving only days apart. The Tang delegation brings fine silk, elegant paper, and beautifully painted scrolls. The Tibetan delegation offers magnificent horses, warm wool, and precious mountain products. Both groups speak kindly. Both ask for continued friendship. The king smiles warmly. He thanks each visitor sincerely. He offers generous hospitality to both. Yet when evening comes and the palace grows quiet, he sits alone studying the maps before him. Leadership often requires peaceful smiles, hiding difficult decisions. Outside the palace, ordinary life continues unchanged. Potters shape smooth clay upon spinning wheels. Carpenters repair wooden doors. Children learn to read from patient teachers. Women prepare evening meals, while neighbors exchange friendly greetings. History rarely interrupts daily life all at once. Instead, it arrives quietly. One decision, one visitor, one agreement at a time. Imagine following a caravan, leaving the oasis at sunrise. The animals move steadily into the open desert. The air is already warming. Tall sand dunes stretch toward the horizon like gentle golden waves. Travel across the desert demands patience. Guides know where hidden wells can be found. They recognize familiar stars at night. They understand how changing winds reshape the sand. Without experienced guides, many travelers would lose their way. Every successful journey depends upon knowledge passed down through generations. At night, the desert becomes wonderfully peaceful. The heat disappears. Cool air settles across the dunes. Campfires flicker softly beneath an ocean of stars. Travelers gather close together. Someone quietly tells a story. Another prepares warm tea. Camels rest peacefully nearby. The silence feels endless. Imagine listening to an elderly caravan guide. He has crossed these deserts more than 40 times. His voice is calm. He explains that kingdoms rise and fall. Roads change. Rulers come and go. But kindness shown to a fellow traveler is remembered forever. His words make everyone smile. Even the youngest travelers listen carefully. Wisdom often grows from long journeys. Meanwhile, back in the great capitals, officials continue studying reports about these frontier kingdoms. The Tang court understands that friendly oasis states help protect Western trade. The Tibetan court reaches the same conclusion. Neither empire wishes to see these valuable lands controlled by another power. The small kingdoms become increasingly important. Not because they possess enormous armies, not because they are wealthy beyond measure, but because of where they stand. They are the bridges connecting east and west. Imagine looking at a large map spread across a royal table. The roads resemble flowing rivers. Every oasis appears like a peaceful island. Every mountain pass marks another doorway through the high ranges. An experienced minister gently places his finger upon one small kingdom. It may seem small, he says quietly, but whoever gains its friendship gains an important road. The room falls silent. Everyone understands. Sometimes the smallest places carry the greatest importance. Still, peaceful diplomacy continues. Letters travel back and forth. Envoys ride across the mountains. Merchants fill the roads. The frontier remains busy with life. Most people continue believing that cooperation is stronger than conflict. They hope the roads will remain open. They hope the markets will remain full. They hope their children will inherit peaceful valleys rather than troubled borders. These are simple hopes, yet they are shared by families in every kingdom. As the afternoon fades into evening, the oasis grows quiet. Shopkeepers close their stalls. Children return home. The smell of fresh bread drifts through the cooling air. Palm trees rustle gently beside flowing water. Travelers settle into the inns before continuing their journeys tomorrow. Above them, the stars appear once again. The same stars shine over the oasis. The same stars shine over Chang'an. The same stars shine over the high Tibetan plateau. The heavens make no distinction between great empires and small kingdoms. Yet here upon the earth, careful choices are becoming more difficult with each passing season. The frontier kingdoms continue balancing friendship with two growing powers. For a time they succeed, but the balance grows more delicate every year. Soon one decision, one alliance, one request for protection will begin changing the peaceful rhythm that has endured for so long. As the cool desert breeze whispers softly through the oasis gardens, let us close our eyes for a moment and leave these gentle crossroads behind. In our next chapter, we will slowly witness the first direct confrontations between Tang and Tibetan influence, where diplomacy begins to give way to military preparations, and the long story of the Tang-Tibetan wars quietly enters a new chapter. Another peaceful sunrise spreads across the mountains. The first light reaches the highest peaks long before it touches the valleys below. Frost melts from the grass. Birds greet the morning with gentle songs. Rivers continue their endless journey toward distant lands, just as they have for countless generations. Imagine yourself once again following one of the great frontier roads. For many years, this path has been filled with friendly faces. Merchants leading camels, monks carrying sacred books, families traveling to visit relatives, officials delivering letters between kingdoms. The road has been a place of welcome, a place where strangers often become friends. But today, something feels different. Not frightening, simply quieter. The caravans are smaller. Travelers stop more often to exchange news. Conversations have become softer. People are listening more carefully than before. No one is certain exactly what is changing. Yet many can feel that the peaceful balance of earlier years is beginning to shift. Imagine arriving at a familiar roadside inn. You have rested here many times before. The owner greets every traveler with the same warm smile. Fresh tea is already warming above the fire. The smell of baking bread fills the room. Everything seems comfortingly familiar. Yet as the guests quietly share their evening meal, the conversation slowly turns toward the frontier. One merchant says he noticed more soldiers guarding a distant mountain pass. Another traveler mentions that a local chief has welcomed new officials from a neighboring kingdom. Someone else speaks of fresh watchtowers being built beside an important road. No one speaks with anger. No one raises their voice. They are simply sharing observations. Small changes, tiny pieces of a much larger picture. Imagine sitting quietly beside the fire, listening to these conversations. An elderly caravan leader gently stirs his tea before speaking. "I have traveled these roads for 30 years," he says softly. "The mountains never change quickly." He pauses. Kingdoms do. The room becomes quiet. His words are not meant to frighten anyone. They are simply the wisdom of someone who has watched history unfold one season at a time. The next morning, the caravan continues its journey. The mountain air is fresh. The horses move steadily. The bells hanging from the pack animals ring gently with every step. Far ahead, a newly built watchtower stands upon a rocky hill. It is not large, only a simple stone structure. A few guards quietly observe the surrounding roads. Their presence is calm. Their purpose is practical. They watch for travelers. They report unusual activity. They help keep the roads safe. Yet every new watchtower also reminds passing merchants that the frontier is becoming more carefully observed than ever before. Imagine walking up the hill toward the tower. The guards welcome travelers politely. They ask simple questions. Where have you come from? Where are you traveling? Have the roads remained safe? Have you seen any landslides or damaged bridges? Their questions are reasonable. The mountains can be dangerous. Good information helps protect future travelers. Still, experienced merchants notice that such questions are becoming more common. Across the frontier, both great empires are quietly improving their ability to understand what is happening along these distant roads. Messengers travel more frequently. Reports become more detailed. Maps are updated with greater care. Imagine a royal scribe in Chang'an, carefully recording news from the western frontier. His brush moves steadily across smooth paper. He writes about new settlements, about repaired roads, about local alliances, about changing trade patterns. Every report joins hundreds of others stored safely within the imperial archives. Far away upon the Tibetan plateau, another scribe performs the same careful work. Different language, different writing, yet the same patient attention. Both governments wish to understand lands that lie many weeks away from their capitals. Knowledge is a form of protection. Imagine an experienced frontier commander riding slowly through a mountain valley. He is not searching for battle. He is studying the land. He notices where rivers can be crossed safely. He observes which hills offer wide view of the surrounding countryside. He examines old roads worn smooth by generations of travelers. His duty is to understand the landscape. If peace continues, this knowledge helps protect trade. If difficulties arise, it becomes valuable in other ways. The mountains themselves remain unchanged. The same rivers continue flowing. The same birds build nests among the cliffs. Nature pays little attention to human politics. Imagine a family living beside one of these frontier roads. Their small farm has welcomed travelers for generations. The father repairs wagon wheels. The mother prepares warm meals for weary visitors. Their children help feed the horses. For many years, business has been steady. Caravans arrive almost every evening. Stories from distant lands fill their home. Now the family notices subtle differences. Some merchants choose different routes. Others travel in larger groups. A few decide to delay their journeys until they hear more certain news from the frontier. The family worries quietly, not because anyone has threatened them, but because peaceful trade is the heart of their livelihood. A quieter road means fewer guests. Fewer guests mean less income. Even distant political decisions can gently touch the lives of ordinary people. Imagine two frontier chiefs meeting beside a river. Both men have known one another for many years. They have shared meals, exchanged gifts, helped one another during difficult winters. Today they meet once again. Their conversation remains friendly. Yet new questions must be discussed. Which kingdom should protect the nearby valley? Who should maintain the bridge crossing the river? Who should settle disagreements between merchants from different lands? Neither chief wishes to argue. Each simply believes he is acting in the best interest of his people. History often changes through conversations exactly like this. Respectful, thoughtful, yet increasingly difficult. Now imagine a messenger arriving unexpectedly. His horse is tired after many days upon the road. He carries sealed letters from the capital. The chiefs receive him warmly. The letters are opened carefully. Inside are new instructions. Nothing dramatic. Only requests for closer cooperation. More regular reports. Greater attention to important roads and mountain passes. These are sensible, administrative decisions. Yet taken together across many years, they slowly strengthen each empire's presence along the frontier. Imagine standing high above the valley as the seasons change. Spring brings green fields and flowing rivers. Summer fills the roads with merchants. Autumn covers the hills with warm golden colors. Winter wraps everything beneath quiet snow. Year after year, life continues. Children grow older. Parents become grandparents. Young trees slowly become forests. Change often arrives so gently that few people notice it until many years have passed. This is true of kingdoms as well. Neither the Tang Empire nor Tibet suddenly transformed into rivals. Their relationship evolved slowly. One road became more valuable. One alliance grew stronger. One frontier village welcomed new officials. One report reached a royal court. Another followed. Then another. History rarely rushes. Imagine visiting one of the frontier markets once more. It is still lively. Silk is still traded. Horses are still admired. Tea still warms cold travelers. Children still laugh while chasing one another through the square. The marketplace has not lost its spirit. Yet experienced merchants quietly notice more official visitors than before. Government inspectors examine weights and measures. Messengers speak privately with local leaders. Frontier guards observe the arriving caravans. Everything remains peaceful. Everything remains orderly. But the atmosphere has become just a little more watchful. As evening approaches, let us walk toward a quiet hill overlooking the valley. Below us, tiny campfires begin appearing beside the road. Each fire belongs to a different group of travelers. One caravan comes from the Tang Empire, another from Tibet, a third from distant Central Asia. From this height, their differences seem very small. All of them seek warmth, food, rest, safe passage. Tomorrow, each group will continue its journey. Looking down upon them, it becomes clear that ordinary people often desire the same simple things. A secure road, honest trade, healthy families, peaceful neighbors. These hopes remain unchanged, even when great empires begin thinking differently. Back in the royal capitals, however, ministers continue studying maps late into the evening. The western frontier grows more important with every passing year. Reports speak of increasing trade, growing settlements, valuable mountain routes. Both governments understand that these regions can no longer be ignored. Neither wishes to lose influence there. Neither wishes to leave important decisions entirely to local rulers. Slowly, patiently, almost unnoticed, preparations continue. Not preparations for immediate war, but preparations for uncertainty. Wise governments often prepare long before difficulties arrive. As darkness settles over the frontier, the mountain wind grows cooler. The stars appear one after another above the silent peaks. Campfires burn lower. Travelers wrap themselves in warm blankets. Some quietly pray before sleeping. Others simply gaze upward at the endless sky. The mountains remain calm. The rivers continue flowing. The ancient roads still connect distant worlds. Yet beneath this peaceful night, history is gently changing direction. The roads that once carried only trade and friendship are beginning to carry something else as well. Concern, careful planning, quiet competition. The first true signs that two remarkable empires are slowly approaching a turning point. As the last embers glow softly beneath the clear mountain sky, let us rest for a while beside the silent road. In our next chapter, we will gently explore the first military preparations, not great battles, but the careful organization of frontier garrisons, supply routes, horses, and mountain defenses that slowly transformed a peaceful border into one of the most important frontiers in medieval Asia. The dawn arrives almost silently. A soft silver light spreads across the high mountains before the sun itself appears above the horizon. Cool air fills the valleys. Tiny drops of dew rest upon the grass. Far away, a shepherd gently whistles to his flock while another peaceful day begins. Imagine yourself standing beside one of the great mountain passes that connects the Tang Empire with the lands beyond. The pass is narrow. Steep cliffs rise on both sides. A clear stream winds through the valley below. Wildflowers grow wherever the rocky ground allows. At first glance, it seems like nothing more than another beautiful corner of the mountains. Yet people who know these roads understand something important. This quiet place is one of the gateways between empires. For generations, merchants have crossed here. Pilgrims have climbed these paths carrying sacred books. Messengers have ridden through these valleys with carefully sealed letters. Families have welcomed weary travelers into their homes. The mountains have watched all of this without saying a word. Now, however, something new is beginning. Not sudden, not dramatic, simply careful preparation. Imagine a group of Tang officials arriving at the mountain pass. They are not leading a great army. Instead, they travel with engineers, surveyors, scribes, and experienced guides. Each person has a different task. One measures the width of the road. Another examines the nearby bridge. A third carefully notes where fresh water can be found throughout the year. Everything is written down. Everything is observed. Knowledge allows wise planning. One of the engineers kneels beside the stone bridge crossing the stream. He gently taps the foundation with a wooden tool. He studies the stones one by one. The bridge has served travelers faithfully for many years. Yet it could be stronger. Plans are quietly made for repairs before the next heavy rains arrive. A stronger bridge helps everyone. Merchants, farmers, pilgrims, messengers, even soldiers, should they ever need to pass this way. Simple improvements often serve many purposes. Now let us journey across the mountains to the Tibetan side of the frontier. There, another group of officials is making similar observations. Experienced riders study the valleys. Builders examine old roads. Village elders offer advice gathered through long years of living among these peaks. One elderly shepherd points toward a distant hillside. When winter snow blocks this pass, he says quietly, travelers use the lower valley instead. His knowledge cannot be found in books. It lives only in memory. The officials thank him warmly. They understand that local wisdom is one of the greatest treasures any frontier can offer. Imagine following a small group of workers as they repair a mountain road. Large stones are carefully moved into place. Loose earth is packed firmly beneath wooden supports. Broken sections of the trail are strengthened before another harsh winter arrives. The work is slow, patient, steady. Nobody rushes. The mountains reward careful hands. Every repaired road makes future journeys a little safer. As the sun climbs higher into the sky, another group of workers begins constructing a small guard station beside the road. It is not a mighty fortress, only a simple stone building. Its roof is built to withstand heavy snowfall. A small stable stands nearby. A watchtower rises just high enough to overlook the valley. Travelers passing through will find fresh water. Directions: perhaps even shelter during difficult weather. The guards stationed here serve many roles. They help lost travelers. They carry messages. They report landslides or damaged bridges. They also watch the roads carefully. Observation becomes an important part of frontier life. Imagine speaking with one of these guards. He is not eager for conflict. He spends much of his day watching clouds drift across the mountains. He greets passing caravans politely. He records how many travelers use the road each week. Sometimes days pass without anything unusual happening. He does not complain. Quiet days are good days. Peace has its own gentle rhythm. Far away in Chang'an, officials continue thinking about the western frontier. The empire has grown vast. Protecting distant roads requires organization. Imagine entering a government office where several large maps cover the walls. Colored markings show important rivers, mountain passes, trading towns, postal stations, supply depots. Every location has been chosen with care. An experienced minister slowly traces one route with his finger. If heavy snow closes this pass, he explains calmly, messages must travel through the southern valley. Another official nods thoughtfully. Alternative roads are discussed. Fresh horses are assigned to important courier stations. Food supplies are carefully counted. Good planning often prevents future difficulties. Meanwhile, upon the Tibetan plateau, similar conversations unfold. Messengers ride between distant settlements. Horse breeders discuss which animals are strongest for long mountain journeys. Village leaders report the condition of roads and bridges. Each community contributes what it can. One village provides skilled stone workers. Another supplies timber. Another raises sturdy horses. Building an empire requires cooperation from many different people. Imagine visiting one of the horse pastures during early summer. The grass is tall and green. Young horses run freely across the open fields. Their movements are graceful. Their coats shine beneath the warm sunlight. Horse breeders watch them carefully. They know every animal by sight. Some horses will become trusted companions for shepherds. Others will carry merchants across long caravan routes. A few may one day serve as mounts for royal messengers or frontier patrols. Throughout both empires, horses are among the most valuable possessions a family can own. They represent strength, travel, communication, opportunity. Imagine a young boy learning to ride under his father's patient guidance. The horse walks slowly. The boy smiles nervously at first. His father speaks calmly. Sit straight. Keep your hands gentle. Listen to the horse. Little by little, confidence grows. Learning to ride is not only practical. It is part of growing up. Across the frontier, countless children are learning the same skills. Some live within the Tang Empire. Others grow up upon the Tibetan plateau. None of them know that history will one day remember the lands where they now play. As afternoon sunlight warms the valleys, let us visit a quiet frontier storehouse. From the outside, it appears quite ordinary. Strong wooden doors, stone walls, a roof built to keep out rain and snow. Inside are carefully arranged supplies. Sacks of grain, barrels of dried food, bundles of arrows, coils of rope, warm blankets, medical herbs. Everything is neatly organized. Such storehouses are built not because war has begun. They exist because distant frontiers require preparation. If a bridge collapses, workers need tools. If travelers become trapped by heavy snow, food is needed. If officials must journey across the mountains, fresh supplies should already be waiting. Preparation is simply part of responsible government. Imagine an elderly keeper of the storehouse checking every shelf. He counts each sack of grain carefully. He replaces worn ropes. He sweeps the floor before locking the doors for the evening. His work is quiet, often unnoticed, yet many future travelers will benefit from his careful attention. History depends not only upon famous rulers, it also depends upon people who quietly perform ordinary duties well. Now imagine a messenger arriving just before sunset. His horse is tired. Dust covers his boots. He carries a letter sealed with the mark of the imperial court. The frontier commander welcomes him warmly. Tea is served while the horse is given fresh water and grain. Only after both rider and horse have rested does the letter receive attention. Patience remains part of everyday life. The message contains routine instructions. Continue observing the roads. Maintain the bridges. Report any significant changes. Protect the caravans. Nothing suggests immediate danger. Yet the importance of the frontier continues growing. Every season brings more travelers, more trade, more opportunities. And with opportunity comes greater responsibility. Imagine walking through a small frontier village as evening approaches. Children help gather firewood. Women prepare barley bread. Men return from repairing fences or tending animals. An old woman sits outside spinning wool into thread while quietly humming a familiar song. Life remains beautifully ordinary. The people here care little for distant politics. They simply hope tomorrow will resemble today. Safe roads, healthy animals, enough rain, good neighbors. These hopes are shared across every frontier. Whether a family calls itself Tang-Tibetan or something else entirely, daily life is built upon the same simple dreams. As darkness slowly settles over the mountains, the newly repaired roads fall silent once again. The guard at the watchtower lights a small lantern. Its gentle glow can be seen from far down the valley. A welcoming light for late travelers. A reassuring sign that someone is keeping watch. Above him, the stars appear one by one. The mountains remain unchanged. The rivers continue their quiet journey. The frontier rests peacefully beneath the endless sky. Yet beneath this peaceful surface, both great empires have become more organized, more prepared, more aware of the importance of these distant lands. Neither side seeks immediate conflict, but both understand that protecting the frontier has become one of their greatest responsibilities. And so, quietly, patiently, almost unnoticed by the ordinary families living nearby, the foundations are being laid for the first true military encounters between the Tang and Tibetan empires. As the cool mountain wind whispers gently around the watchtower and the last lantern flickers softly in the night, let us leave these peaceful roads behind. In our next chapter, we will begin exploring the first campaigns and border clashes, not through loud tales of battle, but by gently following the soldiers, messengers, and frontier communities whose lives slowly changed as the long Tang-Tibetan wars truly began. The night slowly gives way to morning. A quiet blue sky stretches above the mountains. Thin clouds drift gently across the highest peaks. A cool wind carries the scent of pine trees, fresh water, and distant grasslands. Imagine yourself standing beside the same frontier road we have walked together so many times. The valley looks almost unchanged. The river still sparkles beneath the morning sun. Birds still sing from the trees. Wildflowers continue blooming beside the path. Nature remains wonderfully peaceful. Yet the people who travel these roads have begun noticing small differences. Messengers ride a little more often. Frontier guards spend a little longer watching the mountain passes. Village elders exchange thoughtful glances whenever unfamiliar riders appear. Nothing dramatic has happened. Not yet. But everyone senses that the world is slowly changing. Imagine arriving at a frontier village just after sunrise. Smoke rises from cooking fires. Children help carry water from the stream. An old carpenter begins repairing a wooden cart that has served 3 generations of his family. Life continues with its familiar rhythm. The villagers still greet one another warmly. They still share bread with travelers. They still pause to admire the quiet beauty of the mountains. For ordinary families, each new day begins much like the last. Yet today, a group of mounted riders quietly enters the village. Their horses are well cared for. Their clothing is neat. Each rider carries the emblem of the Tang Empire. The villagers welcome them politely. Warm tea is prepared. Fresh bread is offered. The commander thanks everyone with a respectful bow. His visit is peaceful. He explains that the government wishes to understand conditions along the frontier more clearly. Have merchants continued arriving safely? Have bridges remained in good condition? Have neighboring villages reported any difficulties? The questions are calm, carefully chosen. The commander records every answer with great attention. A few days later, another group of riders arrives. This time they come from Tibet. Their questions are remarkably similar. They also ask about the roads, about travelers, about local harvests, about nearby settlements. The villagers answer honestly. They have no reason to hide anything. They hope to remain friends with everyone. Imagine speaking with the village elder after both delegations have departed. He sighs gently as he watches the riders disappear into the mountains. When I was young, he says quietly, the road belonged only to travelers. He smiles softly. Now it also belongs to governments. His words carry no bitterness, only quiet observation. History is changing around him. He simply happens to be living through it. Far away in Chang'an, reports from the frontier continue arriving every week. The imperial court studies them carefully. Officials notice patterns that ordinary villagers cannot easily see. Certain roads have become busier. Some frontier chiefs have strengthened ties with Tibet. New settlements are appearing in important valleys. Each report seems small by itself. Together they reveal a changing frontier. Imagine a large wooden table covered with maps. Several ministers lean over the carefully painted landscape. One official gently points toward a mountain valley. This road, he says softly, has become increasingly important. Another nods. The caravans carrying Western trade now prefer this route. A third minister quietly adds, we should ensure it remains secure. No one speaks about conquest. No one speaks about glory. They speak about responsibility, about protecting trade, about maintaining communication. These concerns seem practical, yet they gradually influence larger decisions. Now let us travel back across the mountains. The Tibetan court is holding similar discussions. Experienced advisors gather around their own maps. Messengers report increased activity near important passes. Local leaders request additional support for protecting villages and trade routes. The king listens carefully. His advisors recommend strengthening frontier patrols, not to provoke anyone, but to ensure the safety of the kingdom's growing borders. Imagine a respected Tibetan commander riding across the plateau. He is not searching for enemies. He is visiting frontier communities. He speaks with shepherds, village elders, horse breeders, local chiefs. Each conversation helps him better understand the land he has been asked to protect. He notices which rivers flood each spring, which valleys produce the finest barley, which mountain trails remain open even during difficult winters. Knowledge remains his greatest tool. As the months pass, both empires quietly increase the number of soldiers stationed along important routes. These are not vast armies. Most frontier posts remain small, perhaps only a few dozen men, sometimes even fewer. Imagine visiting one of these mountain garrisons. The soldiers wake before sunrise. Their first task is simple. They prepare breakfast together. Warm porridge, fresh tea, perhaps dried meat. The meal is shared peacefully. Afterward, some repair fences surrounding the horses. Others clean equipment. Several practice riding through the nearby hills. Another group inspects the condition of the road leading toward the next valley. Their daily life contains much ordinary work. Many days pass without excitement. The soldiers become familiar with local villagers. Children wave as patrols ride through the settlement. Farmers greet them while working in nearby fields. The guards often help repair bridges or clear fallen rocks after storms. Their presence is intended to reassure rather than frighten. Imagine one young soldier standing watch from a small wooden tower. The valley stretches before him. He watches merchants leading camels toward the west. He sees shepherds moving flocks across the hills. He notices birds gliding upon warm afternoon winds. Hours pass quietly. His greatest hope is that nothing unusual will happen today. Peace makes his duty easier. Yet the frontier slowly becomes more crowded. More officials, more patrols, more messengers. The road feels busier than ever before. Imagine two patrols meeting unexpectedly along a narrow mountain trail. One serves the Tang Empire. The other rides for Tibet. Both groups stop. For a few moments, silence fills the valley. Then the commanders exchange respectful greetings. They ask about the condition of the roads. They wish each other safe travels. Each group continues on its way. Not every meeting leads to conflict. Many end exactly like this. With courtesy, with patience, with mutual respect. These peaceful encounters are an important part of the story. History often remembers battles while quietly forgetting the countless moments when people chose restraint instead. Still, misunderstandings become slightly more common. Imagine a merchant caravan delayed by heavy rain. Unable to reach the usual campsite before nightfall, the travelers stop in a nearby valley. The next morning, a patrol wonders why unfamiliar horses spent the night there. Questions are asked. Answers are given. The situation is resolved peacefully. Yet each small incident reminds officials how carefully the frontier must now be watched. Even ordinary events require greater attention. Now imagine a frontier chief whose village has traded with both empires for generations. Representatives from both courts ask for his friendship. Both promise support. Both request cooperation. The chief wishes to avoid offending either side. He sends gifts to both rulers. He welcomes every ambassador. He prays that balance can be maintained. Leadership upon the frontier has become increasingly delicate. Imagine sitting beside this chief as evening falls. He studies the mountains quietly. His youngest grandson plays nearby with a carved wooden horse. The old chief smiles warmly at the child. "I hope," he whispers almost to himself, "that he grows up knowing these roads as places of trade, not of fear." The mountains offer no answer. only the gentle sound of the evening wind. As another year passes, both empires continue strengthening their frontier administration. More records are kept. More roads are repaired. More horses are stationed at courier posts. Everything remains orderly. Everything remains calm. Yet beneath this calm lies growing determination on both sides to protect lands they believe are important. Imagine a caravan leader preparing for another westward journey. Before leaving, he gathers his companions. "We travel together," he says quietly. "We remain patient. We avoid unnecessary arguments. The mountains reward careful travelers." Everyone nods. These simple rules have guided caravans for generations. They become even more valuable during uncertain times. As sunset paints the peaks with soft shades of gold and crimson, the frontier once again settles into silence. Campfires glow beside the road. Village lamps shine through small windows. The watchtower lantern flickers gently above the valley. From a distance, everything appears peaceful. And in many ways it still is. The first years of the Tang-Tibetan rivalry are not defined by endless battles. They are defined by careful observation, patient preparation, diplomatic effort, and countless ordinary people hoping that peace will continue just a little longer. But history, like a slow-moving river, rarely stands still. Each season carries the current a little farther. Each decision gently shapes the next. Soon, one frontier kingdom, one disputed valley, one strategic alliance, will finally lead the two great empires into their first sustained military campaign. As the stars slowly brighten above the sleeping mountains and the cool night wraps the frontier in quiet stillness, let us gently close this chapter. In our next chapter, we will follow the first major campaign of the Tang-Tibetan Wars, exploring how the struggle over the oasis kingdoms and the roots of the Silk Road gradually transformed years of careful diplomacy into open conflict, while always remembering the ordinary families whose peaceful lives continued beneath the same timeless sky. Another quiet morning begins. The eastern sky slowly changes from deep blue to soft gold. Gentle light touches the snow-covered mountains before flowing into the valleys below. The rivers continue their patient journey, and the birds begin another day with familiar songs. Take a slow, comfortable breath. Imagine that you are once again walking along the ancient Silk Road. The path beneath your feet has been shaped by countless travelers. Merchants, pilgrims, messengers, craftsmen, families. For hundreds of years, these roads have connected distant worlds. Today, however, they are carrying something new. Not only trade, not only friendship, they are beginning to carry armies. Not enormous armies filling the horizon. Instead, carefully organized groups of soldiers moving steadily toward the western frontier. Even now, their pace is slow. Mountain roads do not allow haste. Imagine watching one of these Tang columns from a nearby hillside. The soldiers do not march with loud shouting. They move quietly. Their horses step carefully over uneven stones. Supply animals follow behind, carrying grain, blankets, cooking pots, spare clothing, and tools for repairing bridges and roads. Every journey must be carefully planned. An army cannot survive on courage alone. It depends upon food, fresh water, warm clothing, healthy horses, reliable guides. Without these simple things, no campaign can last for long. The officers understand this very well. Imagine a young Tang officer studying a map beside the morning campfire. His breakfast is simple: a bowl of warm porridge, a cup of tea, fresh bread baked the evening before. He speaks quietly with an experienced guide who has crossed these mountains many times. The guide points toward a narrow valley. This road is shorter, he explains softly, but snow often blocks it. Then he points toward another route. It takes longer, but there is fresh water all the way. The officer nods thoughtfully. He chooses the longer path. Sometimes patience is the wisest decision. As the column continues westward, the landscape slowly changes. The green valleys become dry hills. The hills give way to open plains. Soon the first stretches of desert appear. The air grows warmer. The wind carries tiny grains of sand across the road. The soldiers wrap light cloth around their faces. The sun climbs steadily higher. Water becomes precious. Imagine the caravan stopping beside a small oasis. Palm trees cast welcome shade. Fresh water bubbles gently from a spring. The soldiers remove heavy packs from their horses. Animals drink slowly after the long journey. Nearby villagers welcome the travelers politely. Some offer fresh fruit. Others bring cool water stored inside clay jars. Although these villagers know that soldiers have arrived, they continue treating them first as guests. Hospitality remains stronger than fear. One elderly woman quietly smiles as she hands a wooden bowl of water to a tired young soldier. He bows respectfully before accepting it. For a moment, there is no empire, no politics, only one human helping another. These small moments rarely appear in history books, yet they happened countless times. Imagine the village children watching the soldier with wide, curious eyes. Many have never seen so many horses together. Some quietly count the animals. Others admire the polished saddles. One brave little boy asks a soldier if he may gently touch his horse. The soldier laughs softly and agrees. The horse lowers its head patiently. The child smiles with pure delight. Even during uncertain times, ordinary kindness continues. Far away, another force is also preparing. Upon the high Tibetan plateau, experienced riders gather beneath clear mountain skis. Their preparations are equally careful. Strong mountain horses are selected. Leather saddles are inspected. Supplies are packed with great attention. Barley flour, dried meat, butter, warm wool blankets, simple cooking pots. Everything has its place. Imagine walking through one of the Tibetan camps just before sunrise. The fires still glow from the night before. Some soldiers quietly sharpen farming tools that may also serve practical purposes during long journeys. Others brush their horses carefully. Several young riders help older veterans prepare the animals. There is no excitement, only quiet concentration. Many of these men have spent their entire lives upon the plateau. The mountains are their home. They understand changing weather, hidden valleys, dangerous river crossings. Knowledge of the land gives them confidence. An older commander gathers several younger riders around him. He speaks gently. Respect the mountains. Care for your horse. Share food with your companions. Listen more than you speak. His advice sounds almost like that of a father preparing his children for a long journey. The younger riders listen carefully. They know his experience has been earned over many difficult years. Now let us return to the oasis kingdoms that lie between these two growing powers. Life there has become more uncertain. Imagine the ruler of a peaceful oasis city, standing upon the walls overlooking the surrounding desert. In the distance, another caravan approaches. From this height, it is impossible to know immediately whether the travelers are merchants, diplomats, or soldiers. The king waits patiently. Soon a messenger arrives. The newcomers request permission to enter peacefully. The gates are opened. The visitors are welcomed. Yet every arrival now carries new questions. Who are these travelers? Whom do they serve? What message have they brought? Imagine sitting beside the king during an evening meeting with his advisors. Oil lamps flicker softly. Maps lie open across a low wooden table. The advisors speak quietly. One recommends strengthening ties with the Tang Empire. Another believes friendship with Tibet offers greater security. A third suggests remaining neutral for as long as possible. Each opinion has wisdom. Each also carries risk. The king listens without interruption. He understands that every decision may shape the future of his people. Outside the palace walls, however, ordinary life continues. Farmers irrigate their fields. Potters shape clay. Children race through the narrow streets. Merchants carefully arrange colorful fabrics for tomorrow's market. Most families simply hope the roads remain open. Trade is their lifeblood. Without caravans, many businesses cannot survive. Imagine a merchant whose family has traded silk for 3 generations. His father traveled these roads. His grandfather before him. Now he wonders whether next season's journey will be as peaceful as the last. He does not fear another merchant. He fears uncertainty. Trade depends upon trust. Trust depends upon stable roads. Imagine following his caravan as it leaves the oasis. The camels move steadily beneath the bright morning sun. Each carries carefully balanced loads. Silk, tea, medicines, paper. The merchant quietly studies the horizon. He notices more patrols than in earlier years. More guards, more official checkpoints. Each stop delays the journey a little longer. No one is unfriendly. Yet the road has undeniably changed. Back in the Tang camp, scouts return with new information. They report that another oasis town has welcomed envoys from Tibet. The officers discuss the news calmly. No immediate decision is made. Instead, they compare reports gathered over many months. Patterns begin to emerge. Influence is spreading. Alliances are shifting. The western frontier is becoming increasingly complex. Meanwhile, Tibetan scouts observe similar developments. They notice Tang officials strengthening relationships with other frontier rulers. They report improved roads, additional courier stations, growing trade. Their commanders also gather information patiently. Both empires are still trying to understand the changing landscape before acting too quickly. Imagine standing upon a lonely ridge between 2 valleys. From here, you can see caravans moving in opposite directions. One travels east, the other west. Neither knows that observers from different kingdoms quietly watch from distant hillsides. Information has become almost as valuable as the goods carried upon the road. The first campaign is unfolding not through one great battle, but through careful movement. Through diplomacy, through alliances, through control of important roads and oasis towns. Every step matters. Every decision influences the next. As evening approaches, the Tang soldiers make camp beside a river. Across another valley, Tibetan riders establish their own camp. Neither force can see the other. Yet both are moving within the same broad frontier. Both are following ancient roads. Both depend upon the same rivers for water. Both look upward at the same stars when darkness falls. Imagine the quiet inside each camp. Someone stirs a pot of warm soup. Another quietly mends a torn saddle strap. A young soldier writes a short letter home, hopping one day to deliver it. Nearby, an older veteran gazes silently into the fire. Perhaps he is thinking about his family. Perhaps he is remembering earlier journeys. The camp is peaceful. The night is calm. Owls call softly from distant trees. The desert wind whispers across the sand. History is moving forward. Slowly, patiently, almost as quietly as the rivers flowing beneath the moonlight. The first great campaign of the Tang-Tibetan struggle has begun. Not with thunder, not with chaos, but with long journeys, careful planning, measured decisions, and countless ordinary people continuing their lives, while powerful kingdoms gradually moved closer to open confrontation. As the stars fill the clear desert sky and the campfires slowly fade into glowing embers, let us gently close our eyes for another peaceful rest. In our next chapter, we will quietly witness the first true encounters between Tang and Tibetan forces along the western frontier, exploring how discipline, patience, and the difficult mountain landscape shaped the opening stages of one of medieval Asia's longest rivalries. The first light of morning spreads gently across the western frontier. The stars slowly disappear one by one, while the tallest mountains catch the golden rays of the rising sun. Cool air drifts through the valleys, carrying the peaceful sound of flowing rivers and distant birdsong. Imagine yourself standing upon a quiet hill. From here you can see a long valley stretching toward the horizon. The land is beautiful. Green patches of grass rest beside narrow streams. Clusters of trees provide shade for travelers. Ancient roads wind peacefully through the landscape. For centuries, these roads have welcomed merchants and pilgrims. Today they welcome something different. Two careful armies moving toward one another. Not rushing, not charging, simply advancing one careful step at a time. Imagine watching a Tang patrol moving through the valley below. Their horses walk quietly. No one speaks loudly. Each rider carefully watches the surrounding hills. One scout rides ahead. Another remains behind the group. The commander studies every turn in the road. The mountains make surprises possible. Carefulness is far more valuable than speed. Across another ridge, Tibetan riders are making similar preparations. Their experienced guides know every stream and rocky path. The commanders pause often to observe the valleys below. They speak softly with one another. Maps are unfolded. Nearby hills are examined. Even before armies meet, the landscape itself becomes an important companion. Imagine the two patrols gradually becoming aware of one another. Far in the distance, a scout notices movement. He quietly raises his hand. The riders stop. Everyone looks toward the opposite hillside. Tiny figures can be seen against the morning light. No one immediately reaches for a weapon. Instead, they simply observe. Distance still separates them. The valley remains silent. For several long moments, both groups study one another. Each wishes to understand. How many riders? Which road are they following? Are they merely scouting? Or protecting nearby settlements? Questions fill the quiet morning air. Imagine one experienced commander speaking calmly to his younger officers. There is no need to hurry. We learn more by watching. His words reflect years of experience. Good commanders understand that patience often protects more lives than bold action. The patrol slowly changes direction. The other patrol does the same. The encounter ends without violence, without shouting, without conflict, only careful observation. History rarely remembers such peaceful meetings. Yet they happened again and again along these mountain frontiers. For weeks, sometimes months, armies learned about one another before any major battle ever took place. Imagine returning to the Tang camp later that evening. The commander gathers his officers around a small fire. One scout carefully describes the land they explored. Another explains where fresh water can be found. A third reports seeing smoke from distant villages. Everything is recorded. Nothing is considered too small. Knowledge gathered today may become valuable tomorrow. Now let us visit the Tibetan camp. There, another evening meeting is taking place. The riders remove their heavy boots. Warm butter tea is shared. Simple food is passed around the circle. The commander listens quietly while each scout offers his observations. The southern valley is narrow. The eastern pass remains open. The river crossing appears safe. No one exaggerates. Clear information matters more than exciting stories. Imagine both camps settling into peaceful silence after the evening meal. Some soldiers quietly repair saddles. Others brush their horses. Several younger men sit beside older veterans, listening to stories from earlier journeys across the plateau. The conversations are gentle. Someone laughs quietly. Another hums an old song remembered from childhood. It is easy to forget that these soldiers are ordinary people. Many left families behind. Some are fathers. Some are sons. Some dream of returning home before the next harvest. They are not so different from the farmers and merchants living nearby. Imagine a young Tang soldier writing by the light of a small oil lamp. He carefully brushes ink onto paper. He writes to his parents. He tells them that the mountains are beautiful, that his horse remains healthy, that the weather has been kind. He does not speak of worry. He hopes his family will sleep peacefully. Far away, perhaps his mother is thinking of him beneath the very same moon. Now imagine a young Tibetan writer sitting beside a quiet stream. Instead of writing a letter, he softly carves a small wooden toy for his younger brother. He smiles as he works. The simple carving reminds him of home. Even here, far from his village, thoughts of family remain close to his heart. These quiet moments remind us that history is not only shaped by rulers and commanders. It is also shaped by ordinary people carrying ordinary hopes. As the days pass, more patrols explore the frontier. Sometimes they pass one another without speaking. Sometimes they exchange polite greetings from a distance. Sometimes each side simply turns toward another valley. Both armies continue learning. Neither wishes to make unnecessary mistakes. Imagine a broad mountain meadow where shepherds have grazed their animals for generations. One afternoon, both Tang scouts and Tibetan scouts arrive from different directions. The shepherds continue tending their sheep peacefully. The animals pay little attention to the newcomers. The commanders quietly study the land. After a short time, each group departs by a different road. The meadow returns to silence. Only the bells around the sheep's necks continue ringing softly. Nature remains wonderfully calm despite human concerns. Back in the frontier villages, life continues. The blacksmith still repairs farming tools. The baker still wakes before sunrise. Children still gather flowers beside the streams. Yet conversations have changed slightly. Travelers now speak more often about soldiers they have seen along the roads. Most reports remain reassuring. The patrols have behaved respectfully. Trade continues. Markets remain open. Still, people quietly wonder what the future may bring. Imagine sitting inside a small roadside in one rainy evening. The fire crackles warmly. Outside, rain taps gently against the wooden roof. Several merchants have gathered for supper. One has traveled from Chang'an. Another has crossed the Tibetan plateau. A third comes from an oasis farther west. Together they share stories. No one argues. Each hopes the roads remain peaceful. An elderly merchant finally speaks. When armies first appear, he says softly, they usually travel slowly. He smiles gently. They still need food. They still need bridges. They still need good weather. His listeners nod thoughtfully. Even armies remain connected to the ordinary rhythm of daily life. Imagine several frontier monks quietly discussing recent events. They pray for safe journeys, for wise leaders, for peaceful hearts. One elderly monk reminds his students that fear often grows when people stop listening to one another. Compassion, he says softly, travels farther than anger. His words are simple, yet they remain timeless. Meanwhile, both imperial courts continue receiving reports. The first encounters between patrols have been calm. No great battles have occurred. Yet everyone understands that the frontier has entered a new chapter. The roads are no longer watched only by merchants and village elders. Now organized patrols quietly observe the valleys as well. The mountains themselves seem unchanged. Snow still rests upon the highest peaks. Rivers continue flowing toward distant lands. Wildflowers bloom beside forgotten trails. The natural world continues its peaceful rhythm. Only human history moves in another direction. Imagine climbing one final hill before sunset. From its summit, you can see the camps of both armies far apart in different valleys. Tiny columns of smoke rise peacefully into the evening sky. Somewhere below, shepherds guide their flocks home. Farmers gather the last bundles of grain. Children chase one another through quiet village streets. Life continues. Always. Even while great events slowly unfold beyond the horizon. The first meetings between Tang and Tibetan soldiers have ended with patience, with observation, with discipline. Neither side has rushed into battle. Both understand that the mountains reward careful thinking. Yet every passing week brings the two empires a little closer together. Soon, caution alone will no longer be enough. The first real clashes over strategic valleys and oasis towns are approaching. And with them, history will begin recording not only journeys and diplomacy, but the opening engagements of a rivalry that will shape the highlands of Asia for generations. As the moon rises quietly above the sleeping mountains, and the campfires fade into glowing embers, let us rest beneath the same peaceful sky that watched these distant travelers more than 13 centuries ago. In our next chapter, we will gently explore the first contested oasis city, where diplomacy, local loyalties, and careful military planning finally converge, bringing the Tang and Tibetan empires into their first sustained struggle over control of the Silk Road. Morning returns softly to the desert. The first rays of sunlight slowly spread across the endless sand. Cool shadows still rest beneath the date palms, while the air carries the quiet sound of water flowing through narrow irrigation canals. Imagine yourself approaching another peaceful oasis. After many days of crossing dry plains, the sight feels almost magical. Tall green trees rise from the golden earth. Fresh water sparkles beneath the morning light. Birds gather beside small pools. Children laugh as they help their families draw water from deep wells. For travelers along the Silk Road, an oasis is more than a pleasant stop. It is life itself. Without water, the long roads across Central Asia could not exist. Without these quiet towns, merchants could never complete their journeys between East and West. This is why both the Tang Empire and the Tibetan Empire have begun paying such careful attention to these small places. Imagine entering the town through its wooden gate. The streets are narrow and peaceful. Stone houses stand close together, keeping their rooms cool during the hot afternoons. The smell of fresh bread drifts from a nearby oven. A potter shapes clay with slow and practiced hands. A carpenter carefully repairs a wagon wheel, damaged during a long caravan journey. Nothing feels hurried. The town follows the same gentle rhythm it has known for generations. At the center of the oasis lies the marketplace. As always, it is filled with quiet life. Merchants arrange bolts of silk beneath colorful awnings. Camel drivers unload baskets filled with dried fruit. A jeweler carefully polishes silver bracelets that catch the soft morning light. Nearby, a spice merchant opens small wooden boxes filled with cinnamon, cloves, saffron, and fragrant herbs from distant lands. The air carries a mixture of wonderful scents. Warm bread, fresh dates, sweet tea, spices from lands many weeks away. Imagine walking slowly through this market. People greet one another with familiar smiles. Several languages can be heard at once. Chinese merchants bargain politely with Sogdian traders. Tibetan horse dealers examine saddles made by local craftsmen. Travelers from India quietly discuss tomorrow's journey with caravan guides. Every conversation reminds us that the Silk Road has never belonged to one kingdom alone. It belongs to everyone who walks its paths. Now imagine the ruler of this oasis town. His palace is not enormous. It is comfortable rather than grand. Its courtyard contains flowering plants and a small pool where birds come to drink. The ruler begins each morning by meeting with trusted advisors. Today, however, their discussion carries greater weight than usual. Messengers have arrived from both the Tang Empire and Tibet. Both bring gifts. Both speak kindly. Both ask for continued friendship. The advisors sit quietly around a low table covered with maps. One advisor gently points toward the eastern road. Our trade with the Tang has grown stronger. Another points toward the southern mountains. Our friendship with Tibet has also brought many benefits. The ruler listens patiently. Neither advisor is wrong. That is what makes the decision so difficult. Imagine the king stepping into the palace garden after the meeting. He walks slowly beside the water. The sound of flowing fountains helps calm his thoughts. He knows that his people simply wish to continue living peacefully. Farmers want safe harvests. Merchants want open roads. Craftsmen want steady work. Children deserve quiet nights without fear. Yet geography has placed their small kingdom between two expanding empires. Sometimes history chooses difficult places for peaceful people. As the afternoon grows warmer, another caravan enters the oasis. This one carries officials from the Tang court. Their journey has taken many weeks. Dust covers their boots. Their horses are tired. Yet their manners remain graceful. They bow respectfully before the local ruler. The gifts they present are beautiful. Rolls of fine silk, elegant paper, carefully painted scrolls, tea from distant mountains, a beautifully crafted bronze mirror. Every gift has been selected with care. Each one quietly expresses friendship. The officials speak gently. They praise the prosperity of the oasis. They admire its skilled craftsmen. They express hope that trade between their peoples will continue growing. Their words are thoughtful, patient, measured. Nothing is demanded. Everything is offered respectfully. Only a few days later, another delegation arrives. This time from Tibet. They too have crossed difficult mountain passes. Their gifts reflect the traditions of the high plateau. Strong horses with thick coats, beautiful woolen textiles, finely worked silver ornaments, rare medicinal herbs gathered from alpine valleys. Again, respectful bows are exchanged. Again, warm tea is served. Again, friendship becomes the language of diplomacy. Imagine watching these ceremonies from a quiet corner of the palace courtyard. No voices are raised. No threats are spoken. The struggle unfolding here is not one of swords. It is a competition of trust, of generosity, of influence. Each empire hopes the oasis will choose its friendship freely. Meanwhile, ordinary life continues beyond the palace walls. A young girl learns weaving from her grandmother. A blacksmith carefully shapes a new horseshoe. Two brothers repair the roof of their family home before the autumn rains arrive. Life moves forward in its familiar rhythm. Most people pay little attention to royal discussions. Their greatest concern is tomorrow's work. Imagine a merchant preparing his caravan for another long journey eastward. His camels kneel patiently, while bundles of silk and dried fruit are carefully secured. Before leaving, he visits the marketplace one last time. He buys fresh bread, water skins, extra rope, a small gift for his children waiting at home. As he prepares to leave the oasis, he quietly notices something new. Several additional guards now stand beside the city gate. They greet travelers politely. They ask a few simple questions. Where are you traveling? How many animals accompany your caravan? Have the roads remained safe? The merchant answers calmly. The guards thank him. The exchange is friendly. Yet he cannot help remembering that only a few years ago, such questions were rarely asked. Little by little, the frontier continues changing. Imagine standing upon the city wall as sunset approaches. The desert stretches endlessly before you. Far away, another caravan appears as a tiny line moving across the sand. Closer to the city, farmers gather the final bundles of grain from their fields. Children race home before darkness falls. The oasis seems wonderfully peaceful. Yet beneath that peaceful appearance lies quiet uncertainty. The ruler still has not chosen how closely his kingdom should align itself. The Tang court hopes for friendship. The Tibetan king hopes for the same. Neither side wishes to lose this valuable crossroads. Back in Chang'an, ministers continue studying reports from these western lands. They understand that every oasis connected to the empire strengthens trade across Asia. They also know that if another power gains influence over these towns, merchants may choose different roads. The prosperity of the Silk Road depends upon stable relationships. At the same time, the Tibetan court reaches similar conclusions. The Western oasis kingdoms provide access to distant markets. They connect mountain routes with desert highways. They serve as resting places for travelers and messengers alike. Protecting these friendships becomes increasingly important. Imagine a respected scholar quietly explaining the situation to a young prince. He spreads a map across the table. Then he places a small stone upon one oasis. "It is only a small city," the prince says. The scholar smiles gently. "Sometimes," he replies, "a single well is more valuable than 100 miles of empty desert." The prince nods slowly. He begins to understand. In dry lands, water gives life. On the Silk Road, an oasis gives life to every journey. As evening settles over the town, the market slowly closes. Wooden shutters are pulled across shop windows. The smell of evening meals drifts through the quiet streets. Families gather together beneath the cooling sky. Someone begins playing a gentle melody on a reed flute. Its soft notes float above the rooftops. Travelers settle into the caravanserai for another peaceful night. Camels rest quietly after their long journey. The stars slowly appear above the desert. The same stars shine over Chang'an. The same stars shine over the Tibetan plateau. The same stars watch over this little oasis, standing between two great worlds. For now, peace still remains. Diplomats continue speaking. Merchants continue trading. Families continue living ordinary lives. But every passing season brings the oasis closer to making a choice. And when that choice finally comes, it will ripple far beyond these quiet streets, drawing the Tang Empire and Tibet into a deeper struggle for the roads that connected all of Asia. As the cool desert breeze gently stirs the palm leaves and the last lantern glows beside the city gate, let us quietly leave this peaceful oasis behind. In our next chapter, we will follow the decisions of the frontier rulers themselves, exploring how local alliances, promises of protection, and changing loyalties slowly transformed peaceful diplomacy into the first lasting campaigns of the Tang-Tibetan Wars.